Otu believes enforcement of a regulatory framework by the appropriate authorities will compel land developers to adhere to a strict radon gas testing procedure before construction works begin. This practice can reduce the incidence of lung cancer and other infections attributed to the inhalation of radon gas. Siyupo Kwakutre, GBC News, Accra.
This is a type of naturally occurring gas that has a negative impact on human health when inhaled. Radon gas can be found in rock and soils. It is mostly emitted from underground, especially through tiny invisible cracks in the floor of buildings. Inhalation of this gas has potential devastating effects on human health, especially with the respiratory organs. But sadly, many Ghanaians do not know anything about it. Research scientists at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission says it is important to enact a law in the country that ensures radon gas concentration tests on particular sites before buildings are put up. So Kwakuche reports. With the respiratory organs.
Radon gas affects unsuspecting human beings via emission through tiny invisible cracks in the floor of buildings. Radon gas concentrations become very high in a room that has been locked up for hours without proper ventilation, especially at locations that may have high radon concentrations.
Any other, but it's outside is not an issue because the air then neutralizes it. So when we are indoor, it comes and where it will be entrapped, and then we inhale it in our body. And the longer we stay in the room, is where this radon can cause an issue with our body.
Inhalation of radon gas has dire consequences on human health, as these substances are capable of causing lung cancer and other degenerative diseases in humans.
Here in Ghana, checking for radon gas levels at building construction sites is voluntary, unlike the developed countries where it is compulsory for estate developers to check for radon gas levels before construction works begin. Research findings indicate that radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer apart from smoking. Unfortunately, many Ghanaians know nothing about this gas and its potential for estate developers to check for radon gas levels before construction works begin. Research findings indicate that radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer apart from smoking. Unfortunately, many Ghanaians know nothing about this gas and its potential
We want to invite all those outside to come in so we can begin the program. All those outside, if you can file in, then we can start the program. We want to invite all those outside to come in. So let's say in another 2 minutes, we can begin the program. We officially begin. All those outside, thank you. If you can find it, then we can start the Okay, so as I indicated, the 2 minutes is up. And for the cameras, or rather those at the back, if you want to move forward to fill the spaces, that will make the camera work much nicer. Okay, so as I indicated, the 2 minutes is up. And for the cameras, or rather those at the back, if you want to move forward, understanding and your cooperation, that will make the camera work much nicer. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the Ghana Atomic Energy and so somewhere in June, the 60th anniversary was formally launched with the theme 60 years of impacting society through nuclear science and technology, expanding our frontiers, the Ghana Atomic Energy. Then after that, there have been a series of, and so somewhere in June, the 60th anniversary was formally launched with the theme 60 years of impacting society and free screening, nuclear science and technology. We had a public seminar about 2 weeks ago. Then after that, the role of SNA, School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences on education in nuclear technology was formally launched. With the Radiation Protection Institute also organized a seminar here in this room on radiation protection about 2 weeks ago. Yes, protecting people and the environment. Sciences on education. So today we're here in nuclear technology to have a stakeholders forum. With the Radiation Protection Institute also organized a seminar here, which is lost on so many people. We had to talk about it, but today we want to talk about the RADON gas. So, as I indicated, it's a stakeholders meeting. Yes, protecting people. As you can see, I'm not by sciences on education. So today we're here in nuclear that can catch everybody's technology to have a stakeholders forum discussion on this RADON thing. So having said all of these, I want to officially. So today we're here in nuclear technology to have stakeholders forum with an open prayer. The Radiation Protection Institute also organized a seminar here, which is lost on so many people. We had about it. Today we want to write about the RADON gas.
Thank you very much.
So, as I indicated,
shall we bow our heads
stakeholders
as we pray? Now thank we all our God with hands and voices, whose wondrous things has done, in whom his world rejoices, who from our mother's arm has blessed us on our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. All praise and thanks to God our Father now be given, the Son and the Spirit be blessed, who reign in the highest heaven, the one eternal God, whom heaven and earth adore. For thus it was, is now, and shall be evermore. Our Heavenly Father, this morning we are grateful to you for the opportunity, for the 70 years so far in the life of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. We thank you for how far you have led us. We are thanking you from our mother's arm has blessed us on our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. All praise and thanks to God, our Father, now be given, the Son and the Spirit be blessed, who reign in the highest heaven, the one eternal God, whom heaven and earth adore. For thus it was, is now, and shall be evermore. Our Heavenly Father, this morning we are grateful to you for the opportunity, for the 3 scores of years so far in the life of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. We thank you for how far you have led of the treasury of the thanking you to foster sustainability. From and continue with us. Has blessed us all our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today.
Thank you.
All praise and thanks to God, our Father, now be given, the Son and the Spirit be blessed, who reign in the highest heaven, the one eternal God, whom heaven and earth adore. For thus it was, is now, and shall be evermore. Our Heavenly Father, this morning we are grateful to you for the opportunity, for the 3 scores of years so far in the life of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission.
Director of the host institute,
You
which is organizing this. Prof. Stephen Nkum obtained his PhD degree
has blessed us all our way
from the University of Ghana
with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today.
Stephen Nkum
All praise and thanks to God.
of Medical Physics, School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences, University of Ghana. He's currently a chief research scientist, and as I indicated, the deputy director of Radiation Protection Institute. He's also the project scientific consultant for the IEA project RAF 9064, improving the capabilities of member states for radiation protection. He's a visiting lecturer, Applied Physics Department, National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe. He is the Secretary General of FAMPO, Federation of African Medical Physicists Organization. And he's also the Vice President of the Ghana Association of Radiation Protection. He's an internal and external examiner of several universities, and of course have supervised so many PhD and MPhil students. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Professor Stephen Nkum. Purpose of gathering.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theophilus Akumiasaki. Good morning.
Good morning.
The board chair, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, directors and deputy directors of Institutes of GAEC, directors of NRA, representative from the Environmental Protection Agency, representative from the Geological Survey Authority, representative from the Minerals Commission, representative from the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, all distinguished invited guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I'm doing this on behalf of Radiation Protection Institute, my boss, Dr. Eric Teteglova, the director, and also the director of the National Nuclear Research Institute, Professor Samuel Yao Ganyaglo, because this program has been jointly put together by the 2 institutes. So I'm doing this on behalf of the 2 institutes. Good morning once again. So my task is very simple, is to tell us the purpose of this gathering. As Dr. Saki had indicated, this is part of GAEC at 60 celebrations. So the 2 institutes came together. That is the Radiation Protection Institute, whose core mandate is to offer conduction of relevant scientific research, provision of technical services in radiation protection, health, safety, and radioactive waste management, also conducts radiation protection training in safety and security, and also provides advice to relevant stakeholders on issues pertaining to radiation exposure. So that is RPI. And for National Nuclear Research Institute, it's responsible for the operation of all nuclear facilities in Ghana. And it seeks to promote and strengthen nuclear science and technology research, training, and development for the socio-economic development of Ghana. So these are the main tasks of these two institutes. So why this gathering? In other jurisdictions, such as the United States of America, every January, the Center for Disease Control, CDC, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, they set aside a week in January, where they call it the RADON Awareness Week. So for instance, next year from January 27 to 21 is RADON Awareness Week, and the theme is, what is your RADON story? So they set aside this week purposely for education. In the United Kingdom also, in November, just as we are doing here in Ghana for the first time, they also do the RADON Awareness Week. And in the UK, it is scheduled from 4th to 10th November. So the two institutes came together and said, why don't we also do something like this in Ghana to create the necessary awareness of RADON and all those things? So that is why we are gathered here this morning, board chair and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So why should we raise awareness about RADON? I think other presentations will highlight on the importance of this. But basically, people are afraid of RADON. There are potential health effects. Who is affected by RADON? What are the health effects? And why should I even install a RADON induction system, a RADON reduction system? Why should I raise awareness? So these are all issues. And before we leave here, it is our expectation that we will have some solutions and also propose a way forward. So ladies and gentlemen, our task here is to have a discussion on creating RADON awareness and the way forward. And by the time we leave here, we have a role to play in protecting our communities from lung cancer deaths from RADON, talk to our loved ones, friends and neighbors, and everything about RADON. So that is the purpose of this gathering. I thank you for your kind attention.
I think we can do it better first. So he asks questions. Why raise RADON awareness? Is it even necessary? And gave examples about the first week in January in the United States that they've declared creating awareness about RADON. And then I hear in November in UK. I believe the press is picking all these points up because you will help us to create this awareness among the populace. So we want to move on. And such a big occasion, you cannot have it without a chairman moderating affairs. And here I want to invite Dr. Harriet Danso Abiam to introduce to us who our chairman is for today. Oh, let's clap for her.
Thank you, Doc. Director General, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Director of Institutes of GAEC and NRA, representatives from EPA, Ghana Geological Authority, Minerals Commission, Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, all the invited guests, staff of GAEC and NRA, colleagues, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my distinct honor to introduce Dr. Kweku Enin as the chairman for today's function. Dr. Enin is a highly respected scientist and a leader, widely recognized for his profound contribution to nuclear science and international development. I'm sure by the time I'm done reading his profile, you know why I made that statement. Dr. Kweku Eni has more than 38 years working experience in the United Nations systems organizations that focused on negotiations around issues of global security, Article 7 of the UN Charter, the application of science and technology for socio-economic development of developing countries. Dr. Enin was IAEA's Deputy Director General and Head of Department for Technical Cooperation from January 2010 to June 2015. During this period, he managed the provision of very concrete support to developing countries in the peaceful applications of nuclear science and technology. This work was delivered in the areas of agricultural and food security, health, industrial application, environment, and water management. Projects were implemented in over 130 countries with an annual budget of over £200 million and a staff strength of 250. Before his appointment as Director General, Dr. Eni served as the Director and Secretary of the policy-making organs of the IAEA. As the Secretary of the Board of the Governors, he managed the debates on discussion on Iran's nuclear program. Prior to joining the IAEA, Dr. Enin worked with the UN Conference of Trade and Development on the application of science and technology for socio-economic development for developing countries. From October 1977 to December 1979, Dr. Enin was technical advisor, UN Conference of Science and Technology for Development in New York. Between March 1992 and June 1994, Dr. Enin was Regional Election Officer, UN Peacekeeping Department in Luanda, Angola. He had been Senior Scientific Affairs Officer for UN Center for Science and Technology for Development for 12 years, 2 months in New York. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of Dr. Al Samud Prize. The prize is an initiative of the Emir of Kuwait to award $1 million annually to an individual or institution that has made peaceful contribution to the development of Africa in the area of health, food security, and education. Dr. Eni obtained his BSc in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Science and Technology, Master of Science Solid State Physics in 1971 from Princeton University, and then PhD in Metallurgical Engineering in 1976 from Columbia University in the city of New York. In addition to his esteemed worldwide responsibilities, I want to state that Dr. Enin allocates time for national assignments. Presently, Dr. Enin is the board chair for GAEC, and until September 2024, was the governor for Ghana on the 35-member IAEA Board of Governors, as well as IAEA General Special Envoy on Cancer for Africa. He is the chairman of the board of the Ghana Nuclear Power Institute. With his wealth of experience and deep commitment to advancing our field in nuclear science and technology, Dr. Enin is truly an inspiring leader whose guidance will enrich our discussions today. We are honored to have you lead this event, and I am confident your insights will set the stage for a productive and impactful forum. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Enin as our chairman for today's function. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you your chairman, Dr. Chair, your attentive audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very generous of you. Director General Gaik, directors and deputy directors of institutes of Gaik, directors of institutes of NRA, representative from the Environmental Protection Agency, representative from the Geological Survey Authority, representative from the Mineral Commission, representative from the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, all distinguished invited guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission management and myself, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. I'm grateful that this RADON awareness campaign coincides with the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission's 60th anniversary celebrations. The Radiation Protection Institute, RPI, a National Nuclear Research Institute, NNRI, 2 of the 7 institutes of Ghana Atomic Energy Commission play a vital role in safeguarding public health, worker safety, and environmental protection. Ladies and gentlemen, radon is a significant global health concern. It's crucial to understand that radon is produced from the decay of uranium over time. To address the growing need to inform workers and the public about the risks of radon gas exposure, particularly lung cancer and its sources, the RPI, NRI, GAIC has expanded and modernized its environmental laboratories to improve measurement accuracy and help establish regulatory standards. These standards will mandate monitoring for industries that contribute to increased radon levels, especially in workplaces. This initiative will also significantly support scientists at the GAIC and other academic institutions who are conducting research and developing programs in radiological health and safety, particularly in the area of radon. Additionally, it will aid regulatory authorities such as NRA, EPA, Minerals Commission, and so on, in making informed decisions and developing regulations. I am confident that this public engagement and the Radon Awareness Initiative will successfully achieve their objectives as the 2 institutes intensify their research and training efforts to address radon in homes and workplaces. I urge all stakeholders present to seize this opportunity to address the significant public health concern of radon exposure. I encourage you to commit to staying informed about the latest standards and recommendations in radiation protection and safety. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I extend my sincerest gratitude to all of you, especially those visiting GAIC for the first time. It is an honor to chair today's stakeholder engagement on creating radon awareness and the way forward. Thank you all for your attention. And God bless you.
I think we can clap some more. One thing I like about this man, after spending over 40 years with the United Nations system, you speak still like a Ghanaian. Some people go for 3 months and when they speak, you were in the US for 30 years and yet you speak like some people spend 3 months and when they speak, we can't hear anything. Thank you for your modesty, sir. Just in case you've forgotten why we're here, today is a Stakeholder Forum with a team creating radon awareness and the way forward. So we all here together to achieve 3 main objectives for today. First, as we've indicated, to create awareness about the radon gas. And then number 2, having created awareness, what next? Would there be a policy direction? And here again, the press will help us here. And then the third objective would be to sustain this education on radon gas. Is it going to be an annual affair? Is it going to be biannual? So that it's not like we finish today and that's it. So these are the 3 main objectives that I want all of us to participate. And so that we jojo and we see how best we can achieve this. Officially, you come to somebody's house and the landlord will give you a welcome address. Our landlord happened to be the Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. Prof. Dampari is not in the country at the moment, but he has removed his sandals. How big it is, I don't know. For Professor Samuel Danyaglu, the director of NNR, to stand in his stead. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Professor Samuel Danyaglu to give us a welcome address.
The board chair, GAIC, Dr. Kuku Inin, directors and deputy directors of institutes of GAIC, directors of institutes of NRE, representative from the Environmental Protection Agency, representative from the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, representative from the Mineral Commission, representative from the Ghana Rare Estate Developers Association, GREDA, distinguished invited guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think the moderator has made my work very simple by informing you of the absence of the Director General. The Director General has asked me to stand in his stead to read his speech. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the first ever Stakeholder Forum on Radon Awareness, organized by the National Nuclear Research Institute and the Radiation Protection Institute of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. Today, we gather to highlight the critical role the radon awareness plays in public health, our environment, and regulatory advancements. As we all know, radon is naturally occurring radioactive gas that poses significant health risks, especially in poorly ventilated indoor spaces. It is our shared responsibility to enhance the understanding of radon exposure and to champion effective policies and practices to mitigate this risk in Ghana. Today's program reflects our commitment to raise awareness and collaborate with stakeholders in research, policy, and education to ensure the safety and well-being of our communities. I am particularly encouraged to see representation from various sectors here, and as this truly underscores the importance of a collaborative approach to tackle radon-related challenges. We look forward to an insightful and productive day of discussions, as well as to shared knowledge that will drive our collective action for a safer and healthier environment. On behalf of the organizing bodies, I extend my sincere gratitude to all who have supported this event and to each of you for your presence here today. Thank you for your kind attention, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Oh, let's give it to him. You did it very well. We didn't miss DG at all. So we're still creating the awareness, radon awareness, and the way forward. At this point, we will want to invite some distinguished personalities who've had to work on this radon some time back to give us an overview about this radon. The first to do so will speak on radon in homes and workplaces. She will be in the person of Dr. Irene Opoku-Ntim, who is a distinguished senior research scientist at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. She's also a senior lecturer at the School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. Dr. Ntim holds a PhD in applied nuclear physics, and her expertise spans a broad spectrum of nuclear science applications. And these include solid-state nuclear track analysis and X-ray fluorescence. Dr. Opoku-Ntim is deeply committed to advancing nuclear science education and is a strong advocate for gender equity. Who said and championing the inclusion and empowerment of women in scientific and academic spaces. Her work includes, or her work continues to influence both the scientific community and educational initiatives in Ghana. Dr. Ntim will come here, but will be wearing two caps. We'll first have to speak for Professor Abba Andam, who has over 40 years experience with radon monitoring. And then after that, Dr. Irene Opoku-Ntim will talk about the radon in homes and workplaces. Shall we welcome Dr. Irene Opoku-Ntim? Clapping.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Chair, I would like to stand on existing protocols and read a goodwill message from Professor Abba Andam. She would love to be here, but she has to be at another national assignment. So I have to read for her. Distinguished colleagues, well done to all. On this special occasion, I salute the management and staff of the Radiation Protection Institute and the National Nuclear Research Institute. Measurements of radon levels indoors and in enclosed working areas such as underground mines has been made for nearly 40 years in Ghana. These measurements have been done as research projects by students and their supervisors at different levels of studies in universities, from bachelor degree level projects to master's degree and Doctor of Philosophy status. In addition, there have been numerous hardworking staff of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission who have carried out excellent research into measurement techniques of world-class standards. Permit me to cite just one publication by Andam, Opoku-Ntim, and Abuaje. In this publication, the authors measured indoor radon levels in selected halls of residence on the campus of the University of Ghana. The mean indoor radon concentrations are reported with a range of 54 becquerel per meter cube to 82 becquerel per meter cube. The authors reckon that these levels are within the action level expected by data from WHO. Dear distinguished colleagues, with all the data available in Ghana, we need to collaborate to announce a value as a national average radon level in Ghana. The expectation is that the collaboration which has existed between individual researchers and between various institutions will be strengthened. As in all large collaborations, funding will be expected from the collaborating agencies. I wish you all a fruitful meeting. Thank you. So before my slides start showing, I would like to ask, how many of us know about radon gas? I mean, have you heard about radon gas? Do you have any idea what radon is? You are just there. There's this invisible, colorless, odorless gas that you inhale every day, and you don't know the amount that you are inhaling. So it's an opportunity this time, and we are happy to have stakeholders here to, and the media here to help us carry the message across. And also what we all want is to have a national level for the country. So I'm happy to be here to just give a brief overview of radon in homes and workplaces. So what is radon, as we are saying? So it's a radioactive gas that results from the natural decay of uranium in soil, in rock, and water. So as uranium decays, the fifth generation, which is radium, decays to radon, and radon also decays to its daughters, that's polonium, bismuth, and lead, which is a stable isotope. A stable isotope. So I've already talked about the characteristics of radon. It's colorless, so you can't see it. It's odorless, you can't smell it. And it's tasteless, you can't taste it, which make it difficult to detect without an equipment. So you can't just stand here and tell me there's radon here. Though it's natural, it's everywhere, the only way you can know the amount that you are inhaling into your system is to detect, is to test. So according to the WHO, 3 to 14% of lung cancer diseases in the world are attributed to radon annually, based on indoor levels and exposure in the world. So where does radon come from? As I said, it's a natural gas, so it's everywhere. It's in the soil. It's everywhere. So when you build in soils that contain high radon concentration, these are the pathways how radon gets into our homes. So you have your groundwater, which contains high radon levels, and it's a gas. So you see from the gas through to your home. You have, so through the drains, if there are cracks, if there are any loose fittings in your house, this is how radon gets into our home. So if you have high radon concentration in your water, as you are using your water to shower, to cook, the gas is being released into your indoor air and is adding on to your concentration. So what are the health risks? I think we've heard a lot. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the world. And that is why we as Ghanaians, we want to also talk about radon, because we can see that the prevalence of lung cancer is getting high in the country. And we can't just go and say as scientists that the cancer that you are having, I mean the lung cancer, yours is associated with radon. No, because we have not done any epidemiological studies, and that is what we are advocating for, to get funds to now do epidemiological studies to help the doctors, so that we will know that this number of people in Ghana, their radon is because of high, their lung cancer is because of high radon levels in their homes. So according to the US EPA, 21,000 lung cancer cases in the US is due to radon. And what are some of the risk factors? Prolonged exposure. So if you stay in areas that have high radon levels and you're staying there for a long time, the likelihood of you getting lung cancer is very high. If you are a smoker, so you know that smoking is the first cause of lung cancer and radon is the second leading cause. So if you're a smoker and you stay in areas that have high radon levels, the likelihood of you, the likelihood of you getting lung cancer is very high, and the time spent indoors and your age. So if you've built your house in a high radon area and you're always indoors, the likelihood of you getting lung cancer is high, and children and smokers face a higher lifetime risk. So when you see the picture on the shows the path, as I said, radon is a gas. So when you breathe in, it gets into the lungs. So radon will decay within 3.82 days. So we are not even concerned really about the radon because it will decay. 3.82 days is off. But 8 daughters, the lead is stable and it gets attached to the lungs, which deteriorates damage the DNA, which increases the risk of lung cancer. So what are the levels and the safety standards? As I said, in Ghana, we don't have a level, and this is what we are advocating for. One of the main reasons we are having this awareness is to have stakeholders help us come out with a radon action level for the country. So according to the WHO, radon action levels should not exceed 100 becquerel per meter cube. So the unit of measurement for radon is in becquerel per meter cube. That's the SI unit. The US uses the picocurie. So, and the US EPA, their action level is 148 becquerel per meter cube. The European Environment and Health Information System, their level is between 200 to 400 becquerel per meter cube. The different countries have different levels based on the geology of the area. So in Ghana, we get to know our geology. It will help us to set our level. So currently, we follow the WHO and the US EPA levels. So radon varies by season. You can check radon levels here today. Now we are getting to the dry season. The levels will be different during the rainy season. And when you go to the advanced countries that have the 4 seasons, the winter, the summer, the autumn, we realize that radon levels are higher during the cold seasons as compared to the summer. And it's the same thing in Ghana too. We've also realized that during the rainy seasons, levels are higher as compared to during the dry seasons, because during the cold seasons, most of the time, we try to lock up and so that there will be no rains in our rooms. So the radon is also affiliated to enclosed spaces where there's no exchange of air. Radon levels goes up. So this is all showing us some of the levels, as I said. So if we come and monitor your house, and realize that the level, so this is according to the US EPA, the level is above 150 becquerel per meter cube. Keep measuring. If levels are maintained for more than 1 month, contact a professional radon mitigator. If it's between 100 to 150 becquerel, it's fair, but you have to keep measuring. If levels are maintained for more than 3 months, contact a professional radon mitigation. And if it's less than 100 becquerel per meter cube, it's good. No action needed. You can breathe easily. So how do we test for radon? We have different types of testing. We have the short term and the long term, and you have different detectors for various works. So during the short term, usually we recommend that you do the short term test. Then after the short term test, we have to do the long term test. The short term test will just give you an indication of how much radon you have at this point. So for the long term, we'll also let you know that your cumulative annual radon levels, that's as an individual, you are staying in this place for 1 year. So how much radon you'll be inhaling if you stay in this room for 1 year. So if you ask me to come and do radon test, you want to know how much you're inhaling. So for now, I'll do a short-term test for you to let you know this is the amount of radon that you have. Then later, I will advise you that we need to do a long-term so that you know that if you are staying in this house, you are not leaving, so that we tell you how much you'll be accumulating if you stay in the room for 1 year. So the short term, as I say, is 2 to 90 days. Then the long term is over 3 months. My colleague, the next presenter, will give more details about the type of detectors and that we use for testing. So as I said, testing during colder months for accurate results. So usually, if you have to do the testing, we prefer doing the colder months because that is the time that most of you is an enclosed, you enclose the space. So there will be no inflow of air. So because when you're doing the testing, we don't want you to be opening the door, coming in and going out, otherwise to reduce the impact of the detection. They also come to radon. So I was talking about indoors. So when I talk about indoors, I was talking about homes, our schools, and all that. But our workplaces, we all go to work. Most of us go to work. And our workplaces can also be a higher risk environment for us because we spend more than 8 hours, sometimes even close to 10 to 12 hours in our workplaces. So some of the workplaces that have higher risks to radon are those in mining, underground mining, because they are in the natural habitat of where uranium is, so they are closer to it. So that place, they have higher risks to radon. And underground utilities, so companies that build and use underground utilities like the ECG, the Ghana Water, all those places have higher because the lower you are, the closer you are to the decay of radon. And also, when you come to our homes, ground floors, basements, they have higher radon levels. So when it comes to the workplaces, as I said, every country and its levels that is set. So according to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration of the US EPA, they set a level of 925 becquerel per meter cube as occupational limit exposure for radon at the workplace. Then according to the Australian Radiation Protection Agency and Nuclear Safety Agency, they set 1,000 becquerel per meter cube for workplaces. But according to the Ireland Radiation Protection Agency, they have set 300 becquerel per meter cube for radon levels at workplaces. So as I said, it depends on the country and the geology of the country, and that's what they use to set those levels. And you need to do a lot of testing, and if you have to do a lot of testing, we need to get a lot of funds. So stakeholders, we need your support. Okay, so over the years, radon works has been ongoing in Ghana for the past 40 years. For me, I'm one of the babies in radon. So some of the works that has been done, as you can see, this map is the old map of Ghana. We are still gathering data to come up with a new, we have some data, and hopefully by next year, we'll show you the new and updated version of the indoor radon works that we've done in Ghana. So the map shows the radon works we've done in Ghana over the last 40 years, and the colors from red to yellow. So the red shows higher radon concentration areas in Ghana, and the yellow shows the lower radon concentration areas in Ghana. And from this map, we can see, I'm sure people are seeing more red around the coastal areas. More red around the coastal areas. So we know that in Accra, we are in the earthquake-prone zone in Accra. So earthquake is in correlation with radon. So radon, from research, radon can even be used, radon testing can be used as a predictor for earthquakes. So you can, if you monitor an area for a long time, let's say we have a monitoring station at a place, and you realize that the concentrations are going up as the days go by, the likelihood of an earthquake happening is very likely. So we also developed a map based on soil radon. So the first one was on indoor radon, and the second one is based on soil radon concentrations. So for soil, also the same color scheme from red to yellow. So it's the red shows where higher concentrations are, and the yellow lower concentrations. And in all this, if you have radon, high radon concentration, it doesn't mean you can't stay in the area. Radon, you can't do away with it. It's natural, so it's something that is with us. But the only thing we can do is to mitigate, to reduce the impact on our lives. And there are so many ways that we can do to help us reduce the impact. So when you get in touch with the professionals, we have ways to, if we test your soil and realize that the levels are high, there are ways that we can advise on how to put up your building. So that you reduce the impact of radon that will come into your household. So radon policy and public awareness. I've mentioned earlier, in Ghana, we don't have a national policy on radon, and that is what we are advocating for in this forum. So countries like the US, Canada, and European nations have radon action plans. And we don't have, and policy examples, so it's available on the US Radon Action Plan. So the EPA promotes awareness via Radon Action Month. And I remember when Prof. Inkum was giving his opening speech, he mentioned that January in the US is a Radon Action Month, where everybody is encouraged to test their homes to know the levels. So you know that January is a cold month in the US, so everybody is encouraged to test their homes. I remember during January, most of my friends in the US will call me, it's time for us to test. What do you advise? Then for them, they have companies that you could just go purchase a detector, you do the testing, then you return the detector back to the company and they'll give you the results. So it's something that we can also do, because the radon levels in Ghana, from research, there are a lot of places that have high radon concentration in Ghana. And we could also do this awareness through workshops, through seminars, and through educational programs. They are very essential. I know from here we are not stopping. We'll continue, go on the radio, TV, any possible means that we can use to educate the populace. We have to use it for them to know, because it's very, very important. Before you put up your building, the best thing to do is to test for radon, to know the levels before you put up your building. And after you put out your building, you are even encouraged that every year you have to do radon tests. Like I said, in the US, it's mandatory. Before you even buy a house, the owner has to show you their radon certificate before you can buy that house. If the house doesn't have a radon certificate, you can decide not to buy. And there are cases that people have bought houses and calling a professional to come and test, and the levels have gone up, and they've sued the one who sold the house to them, and they've won the case. And so it's something that we really have to think about as builders in Ghana. So a call to action. As a homeowner, I know most of us are homeowners, most of us rent, and most of us are builders, because I know we have Grader here and they are builders. What do you have to do before you put up the building to sell, before you put out the building to go and stay in it? Please test your soil before you build. You need to make sure that you test your soil before you build. And if you've already built your house, make sure that you test your home, especially in your basement and enclosed spaces, almost every year. You have to do it, and you need to use the professionals. And the professionals are there. When you come to Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the professionals are available. And for employers, we encourage you to test your places and always follow safety protocols. In conclusion, I would like to say that radon is a serious health threat, but a preventable one. It's serious, but you can prevent it. Testing and mitigation can help prevent lung cancer cases. And the only way to know the levels of radon that you have in your home is to test. You can't just enter your room and, oh, I have 10, I have 20. The only way to know is to test. So if you have any questions, we are available, and you can contact our customer service at gaec.gov.gh. Thank you.
Let's clap, let's clap, let's clap. Very interesting discussion ongoing. Let me, before I comment on a few things she said, let me inform the House that after these presentations, there will be a panel discussion. After that, there will be questions and answers. So if you have some questions, please note them down. You will have the opportunity to ask. One or two things I picked from Irene. The fact that Prof. Abba Andam did some work, and the paper indicate that the findings in the hostels of these students is at a level that action has to be taken. That is interesting. And to think that you own a house and we don't know all of this, and we are living in there. Sometimes it's even better to maybe stay in an X-ray room with X-rays on you rather than to sleep in your own house. Because you don't know. And we are told that there are some places which has high readings. You also mentioned something like the places that has high radon, if you spend time indoors, the more, you get more radon, isn't it? I'm thinking of finding something to tell my wife so that I can be going out. I will stay in the house, come outside and then go out and okay, so this is food for thought. It was also mentioned that we should have, Ghana should at least come out with a national policy. We don't even have a radon level. Elsewhere, they will tell you that in Kasua, this is their level at this place. So when you are building, you know what you are in for. But here, we don't even have the national level. This is also food for thought. And I believe the press is picking up. You said you do so many things here, and it requires funding. So the stakeholders should come in and support. Nobody clap for you when you said that. They should come and help us. But Irene, you did well. And you said that when it comes to radon matters, you are a baby. Are you sure? Well, some babies have. I did not say that. So you are more than a baby. Next presentation will be delivered by Professor Francis Otu. He will be talking about the radon measurement and its mitigation. Professor Otu is a manager of the Radiation Protection and Consultancy Service Center of the Radiation Protection Institute. A very young man, energetic, small, but he's already a professor. Where is Professor Francis Otu? Shall we have him? And let's acknowledge him with a big round of applause.
Hello. Hello, I'm sure, good morning to you all. And I'm sure the protocol has been observed. So as a result, I'm also following all the protocol observed. Thank you very much. Like you mentioned, I thank my colleague, Dr. Renopoku. He has already set the tone with regard to the radiation. So I will focus basically on some of the purely things that we have done in Ghana, some of the measurement, and I'll show you some results and other stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, good. So my presentation will focus on few introduction, which will basically reflect on what our chairman said, overview of some of the activities that we have done in Ghana and where RADON and procedures, equipment, methodology, some results, as well as how we can detect RADON and also mitigation. And then as a result, we have to acknowledge how this program started. Yeah, first of all, like Irene said, she's baby, but I may not be baby, but when RADON started, I may be at fisherman, waiting for my father to bring some fish at fishing community. Yeah, within 1990, and I was in class 4. Yeah, so where the RADON started, and some of us also come in and join. Good, so like she mentioned, RADON started with GAEC, Office of Finance here, and then as I'm talking to you now, RPI and NRA are collaborating to continue where other people have left. So where we have been. And then like you mentioned, Atomic is actively involved, and this research has been supported through a lot of students and PhDs, and as well as also, not only in Ghana PhDs, it's also some of the colleagues from other Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa countries with their masters, PhDs, and other research programs. And then this particular research that we have it now, we are talking about as a result of equipment that we have here in Ghana, has also generated some data, of which I'm sure during the panel discussion, our panelists, including recruiters, all of them will come out, and if possible, adopt some data and really coming out with a reference level for Ghana. Yeah, so these are the purpose of the data. Good. And then like, if you go back, like we are saying, atomic energy, RADON started a long time. And I can remember, like she mentioned, Professor Bandam, O.C. Opon, and then some of the other colleagues that some of us, even we didn't know, they started it. So in the year 2019, GAEC acquired equipment through Radiation Protection Institute. And then that's also Dinja, what they already left. And we also coming to add it as a young colleague that we have. So in 2019, we also added equipment with regards to the RADON for RADON research. So these are the equipment that we have, and then we did the launching as well. Good, and I'll take this opportunity also to acknowledge Professor Dakon, my former director, who is no more, you see him at the picture there. Thank you very much. And then why this purpose? When this purpose came about, at least GAEC was focusing on other areas of the main target, but when this lab was established, I mean, we moved or added a lot of research activities. Of our GAEC also moved, as well as to his other boundary, we go beyond it. Now, we came back to how can this RADON, and one of the things that we are doing here is, as we are meeting here, for example, a lot of people don't have the knowledge and idea because there's something that they cannot see and feel it. So how are you going to tell them that this thing is there? So before we do any measurement, we took an opportunity and advantage to educate them. Other than that, by the time we come, whether we are putting the test on or not, they will just take it away. Because I remember even here, when I was doing my PhD, some of the testers at the lab, and even some of the scientists' room, by the time I go there, the tester will be somewhere, thinking that it's a camera. So when they are having something in the room, they even just throw the detectors away. And some of them, even when they are sleeping, they will come and take the detector and put it at the corridor. So as soon as you say, when are you coming? Then they'll go and put it there. So you can see that you are getting some results with various rooms, of which some of them is very small. So when I took opportunity, I say, but how do you expect me to sleep with this kind of detector? So no, then he told me that if my result is not good, throw it away, because I've been putting it at my corridor in the evening. So these are some of the challenges. So what we have to do is that we educate the people importance for us to do this kind of research. Some of them will agree, others will not agree. So these are some of the education that we did it, some of the villages, and then also some of the workplaces. Especially this is the mine, I did it with Professor Popro in the Chirano mines. They allow us to do and we educate them. So what are the education goes about? Education goes within where the radon is coming from. What are some of the effects if we expose to prolonged elevated levels? Because it's difficult, when the thing is natural, it's difficult to use the word high because it is already there. But based on what you are going to do, so some of the words, if you didn't take time, you choose it, people will not even understand. And so, for example, what the mines will do is that they will rather enhance what is already there. So in interest of radiation protection point of view or regulator, we're basically looking at what they have already added. So if it is high and people are not staying in there, what is your business doing or monitoring radon? So these are some of the issues that you need to take into place. And then also, what are the best way to control radon? Like my sister said, Dr. Rain, the best way we can control radon is allow ventilation. That's the best way you can do. And the ventilation, we are talking about some ventilation like fan or air condition. The air should move out and come in the room. So it is very important. Now, some of us are young guys, like some of us, we are coming up. We want to make sure we are living in a room that it will look like before the winter will start. It's very chilled, small. So most of us have an air condition and we lock our rooms. Even some of the estate, I visited a friend, and when I go to the house, the hall, there was no window. It doesn't have any window at the hall. And it has gotten a very big door, but no window. So what happened is that when the radon is coming, it will stack. And what is the start? Radiation moves with intensity. So once intensity is high, it's difficult, it will be easy for them to penetrate. So once it's penetrating, wherever you are, it will be higher. But if there's a window at even almost all the rooms, then basically the ventilation will control. So by the time the radon goes up, the level we are going to have will not have any effect. So these are some of the things, because some of us have traveled, and if you go to Rich, they have raised a house. Some of the house doesn't touch the ground. And these are some of the ideas behind some of all these kind of issues. And then I was telling, yesterday I had a radio, I was telling the interviewer, so she was offline and we are discussing something. And then she was asking me that, so is people aware of radon gas? And I told the lady that I even came to not understand after I've done my PhD, because I don't understand. But my mother was able to determine something, that there's a gas which is not good. You know, because in the dawn, some of us are from village, around 5 a.m. or 5:30, our parents will open the rooms with the intention that somebody has spoiled the air. I mean, the air is not good. So they want to take those air away and bring the different one. You understand? But then some of us like this, in the whole night we don't even open anything. And the same air that will spoil it maybe during the night or something like that, we're going to add another one. And the natural one too is coming. So all the contamination things, we are taking it. You see? So these are some of the things that we are doing with that knowledge. By the way, we're controlling certain hazards and gases that it happened during the night. So, and then we also educate appropriate protective equipment. Why appropriate equipment? Because the radon itself is not a normal air. It's air, right, but it comes in the form of particles, which my colleagues said we have particles which we call polonium. I'll show you how when it detects in the heart, you're able to see it. So when it happens like that, a comma is in the form of alpha particles. In radiation, alpha particles, it has got very short, and it can even stop just by a paper. So when alpha particles are happy, like a radon product, when they become excited, they produce a lot of energy in the form of radiation. So that's why radon becomes so powerful. Because when they put it, they deposit all those radiation in the form of energy in our lungs. That's why you see all the effect radon will refer to the lungs. So how can you detect? We have a lot of labs, but detectors, but I'll try to get something I feel comfortable with. So that's why I see some of them. So what we have here is also detectors, but what happened is that we made mention that Ghana, we go beyond even Ghana. So what happened is that detectors that we have, the system is there. So this is what measures radon. We call it CR39. So when it is covered like this, when it's covered like this, you can even send it to America or all over part of Africa without detecting any radon. It's like a shirt cover. So what happens is that if you want to read, as soon as you remove the cover, it becomes like this, and it will start reading. So that's the reason. So we are reading it, and what we have is that it doesn't really have a lot of this. You only need the time and data after you put it there, and it will give you the radon that you want. Everything has been embedded in the software, so you don't need to worry yourself that much. And when it happens like that, you avoid a lot of errors. So that's why Chairman made mention of we have an accurate measurement of the stuff. And this particular equipment is almost everywhere, except Africa. When I say except Africa, Ghana is also Africa. So only Ghana have it within order, without only the whole of Africa continent. So through GAIC. Good. Also, wait. Good, okay. Okay, good. Good. So these are some of the measurements that we have done. We have done measurement in some mining. This is on the ground. We have done some measurement in the laboratory. We have done some measurement in also dwellings. And this measurement we have done is added to already data we have established. And some of the data too, we are still correlating. So if you're on the ground, what happened is that my first time I entered the ground with Prof. David, I told them that, to be frank with you, they should eat their money where I also eat my crowd money, atomic money. Because getting to the underground, you don't know the time. Know anything, you only smell something, not fresh air, not normal air. So you can imagine. And what happened is they have technology that they pump in the air. But there will be a time that there is what we call spot. So it will take some time before they will pump it. And they will not stop working, some of them. So you can imagine when those air are not coming, and this will don't start. Because in underground, what about underground is that every part of the tunnel that they have, soil top, soil down, soil corner, everywhere corner. So if there's a radon there, it's coming from left and right up to the underground. So when we are doing the measurement, this is how we did it, and some of them are there. And the last one is our labs. Good. And then somebody will ask you, they have said radon, and if you didn't tell, somebody going and says that we measure radon. So what is radon? Basically, what you are saying, that radon doesn't come on its own. They have a parent, and they have ground, they have children, ground children. Yes, and you can see that when we are young, we are stubborn than our parents. So that's how it came. So radon doesn't come out one. It came from radium-238. And radium-226 and thorium-DKC, these are the direct product of radon. But we have two types of radon. We have one we call thorium, radon-220, and the radon itself with half-life of 3.8 days is radon-222. But what happened is that when it comes to thorium, thorium has got only half-life of 50 seconds. But when you are dealing with the normal dwellings, even the underground gold mine, it's not a problem. The one which is, it becomes a problem when you have a uranium mines, because in uranium mines, they have the direct minerals from the radon. So when you have it, then thorium is also another one of the dangerous ones. Those that have gotten half-life of just 55 seconds, it can really cause an issue. But what happens is that the radon with 238, with a half-life of 208, decay. So when it decaying, it decay to have a daughter product, of which the main parent is radium-238. When they have the daughter product, all the daughter product that they have, they are not problematic, but there's a two, which is very problematic. The two is polonium and that of lead. And if you can see that smoking, some people have that cigarette smoking can be harmful to our health. So if you look at what they have is the artificial form of polonium. So that is why US, a lot of data from US WHO, they will say that radon is the second largest lung cancer combined with smoking. So those are less smoke and those they smoke. The smoking one has higher risks. In cancer, we have risks. So radon has a higher risk of getting it than the person who doesn't smoke. The reason being is that they also have got an artificial one. So when you are indoor, you are having a natural one, then we definitely have the double. Voila. So these are some of the measurements we have done. All what we are saying is at it's at GAIC labs. So for example, this container is also there at our labs. Operator, can you sort me out? Making my presentation very good. Perfect. So this one is the film. It's attached to the detector. And this is like the medical facility is like a phantom. And they have designed, it's like our lungs. So what happens is that when we expose radon, it leaves the track. We call it a track. And this track are in the form of energy. In the form of energy like radiation. So this is what we have seen over there. And then, so this is how we expose. But what happens is that radiation itself is good for our body. So what happens is that when we expose to the lungs, the body will utilize it. That's why it's difficult to come out and decide radiation high or low. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, especially as a regulator addition. That's why sometimes a lot of scientists and regulators are very silent, because you cannot determine whether low or high, because in radiation, whether low or high depends on your body systems. Yeah. So what happened is that these are some of the data that during our audition we have. For example, underground was high. I see like a reason that I mentioned. It was high with this data, but I'm not saying it was higher. Good. So we have laboratory, 500 offices and homes. For Ghana here, it's difficult for me to say this level is high or low. Because when you look at the NRA Regulation Act, they have recommendation for workplaces up to 1,000, of which they are trying to set up, and also residence, so by then, when you look at it, we fall within a value that we have to be very careful how we can mitigate and find out. So these are some of the results that we have. Yes, so somebody will say that in radon, it doesn't have the money. So if it doesn't have the money, how can he, what's the best time to measure radon? So these are the data we have in, this one we have in dwellings, and this one we have it in mind. So what I do, I compare the data. You can see that when you look at here, from October, December, January, you see April, June, some of the values are high as compared to underground mines. It's lower. The reason is that in underground mines, most of the controls is the ventilation coming from outside. So they don't really depend on the seasonal. But when it comes to the dwellings, you can see from June, April to June, they are high. And one of the reasons is that because when during the rain season, the outside of the this thing become wet. And radon as a particle have to come out. So when it's coming out, then it has to go to where it is dry. So that is why when you come to the room, you have a lot of radon gas in that particular place. And this is in conformity with the seasonal data that they have done internationally. So this is one of the examples that I have. And then mitigation. If you look at the ventilation, so if you look at the top, some work on ventilation shows that the room with the well ventilation is the blue color, others red, have almost all the values within the types of buildings. And if you can see this on the ground, you can see that when you are moving or approaching a radon area, these are the kind of houses you have to sleep in. There's a car. So when radon is high, you move to where the radon is less. And if you go to the building too, they have designed in such a way that the person doesn't touch on the ground. They have other sizes. So these are them. And you need to test to know that where you are building is good. And then also mitigation also is proportional to the level of the gas that you are getting, because you cannot get in, if there is no radon, why do you put a certain ventilation there? Like my colleague said, that it's very good. But then it depends on this thing we have. So my question, as a radiation protection point of view, the way I ask is that, one, without proper regulation, it is difficult to control radon gas levels in laboratory and home. So what will be the end, or what are this forum want to tell us to do? Thank you very much, and acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Otu. There's so many things we want to ask, and I believe we are jotting them down. Just like Irene, you mentioned that there's a strong correlation between the occurrence of earthquake and the results one gets. This is something we need to think about. Again, you keep telling us we should test the soil before building. Sometimes the challenge is you buy the land and you are told, build it quickly before this land gas come in. So the time to actually go and measure all the soil and things, if you are not careful, by the time you finish, somebody owns the land now. But we'll see how best we can get around it. Prof, you told us about the challenges you have in monitoring the radon gas. Some people see your equipment in the room and they take it out. And when they are going out, they rather bring it there. So what are we measuring then? So it calls for constant education, I think. And maybe before we even go to their rooms to measure, we need to educate them. I have a story where somebody doing the MPhil on this put it in about 5 different homes. And when the husband came, it was the woman who was educated and accepted it. When the husband came, the way he booted the thing, I was told. So all this, I believe that the education has to come first. And then we can pick it up from there. I want to do some quick acknowledgements before I invite the next speaker. From the EPA, we have Bafo Kofi Bochi. You here? From the EPA. Yes, just wave. Okay, thank you. Let's acknowledge his presence. From the Kwabinya Senior High School here, 2 teachers came with their students. The teachers, Libet Freeman, Edifo. Oh, thank you. And then another teacher, Emmanuel Komla Nyogbe. Nice one, thank you. We want to believe that you teach your students so that at least they will know about radon before they grow up. We also have from the NRA, Professor Augustine Fanu is here. Prof. From the Minerals Commission, we have Desmond Boahen. Desmond, thank you for coming. From the Ghana Geological Survey Association, we have Karen Osekre. You clapping. Thank you. Then from the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Enes Boame. Enes, thank you for coming. We also have about 6 people from the Zuel Services, which is a subsidiary of the Jospon Company. You came all the way from Takoradi. David Atise, Isaac Kweku. Where are you? Oh, nice one. Francis Boyson. Yes, Francis is there. Nice. Nana Kojo. Oh, you're also there. And then Emmanuel Abazia. I think I got it. Thank you. Came all the way from Takoradi. You will spread the message for us when you go back to Takoradi. The next presenter, and will be the last before the panel discussion, he will speak about health effects of radon. The health effects of radon. This man, Dr. Samuel Tay, had his fellowship with the Colleges of Nuclear Medicine in South Africa. After his medical school, he also did masters in medicine, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa. That was the first master's degree. You also have a master's degree in occupational medicine, University of Ghana. You have your medical school at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Oh, and you are an Adisco boy. You attended Adisado. You are a lecturer, School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. And you have worked previously at the 37 Military Hospital and GAEC Hospital. You have a lot of publications on lung pathologies and the thyroid cancer. Currently, you are a senior specialist at the National Center for Radiotherapy, Oncology, and Nuclear Medicine. So who else to tell us about the health effects of radon than you, Dr. Samuel Tay? Shall we welcome Dr. Tay here?
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, may I also plead with you to follow the protocol that was observed previously. So, my presentation, I think the first presenter and the second presenter did a very good job. There's a slide in the first presentation that almost summarized everything that I'm going to talk about. And if not because I have to fulfill scriptures, I will just walk away and then everybody understands what you are talking about. But I have to say something. Yes, so I'm supposed to talk about the health effect of radon. So I noticed that there are some students amongst us, and then there are some people from the media who are also us, and then there are some few things that I want to break down before I summarize, because I'm not going to talk much. Everything has been said. Radioactivity, radiation, ionizing radiation, and then the cancer. So if for anything at all, just know those 3 things. So when you talk about radioactivity, we are talking about a nucleus. I'm sure we know a nucleus, or an atom, which has so many particles within it, okay? And because it has so many particles within it, it needs to stabilize. Anytime you have plenty money, you're unstable. You have to give some out to be stable. So in order to achieve stability, you have to let out some. So in the process of leaving out some, you emit some radiation. And this radiation we are talking about is the one that causes this effect we are talking about. And this particular one is alpha radiation. So the alpha radiation doesn't move too far, like the second presenter said. It moves quite short, but it has a lot of energy. So that energy is what is deposited in cells to cause what I'm going to talk about. So this is the end of the presentation, but I still have to say something. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the background, health effects of radon, epidemiology, risk factors, the future, and then I'll quickly conclude. Yes, so again, I'm not going to speak about this because the previous presenters have already said it. Radon gases, odorless, colorless, all those things, they are there. What I'm interested in is the second presenter spoke about it. Yes, so during the era of the Cold War, a lot of cases of cancers were seen. And then it was noticed that some of these lung cancers which were seen occurred in non-smokers. But from what we knew previously, smoking puts us at risk of lung cancer. So several studies were done, and it will interest you to know that these studies were done quite early, around the era of the Cold Wars, and in the mid-50s. But most of these studies were done in US. But I'm just getting to know that we have a lot of studies also in our system. But if you do not look out for them, you may not find them. I should point it here. Okay, so like I said, I explained radioactivity. What happens is, this radon gas we are talking about is a gas. You don't see it. It is it is produced by uranium. We know half-life of uranium is very long, billions of years. So you can trace uranium back to when the Earth was created. And if you go into the literature, we are talking about over 4.5 billion years. So the thing is there, okay? The issue is this radon, uranium gives out particles, which includes radon, which has the probability of emitting rays, and this rays is the alpha rays. So if you breathe in, the radon gas settles in the lungs, okay? And when it settles in the lungs, it's able to destroy some of the lung tissue, the sensitive tissues in the lungs. Now the question is, why is it that when you are in the room, you are exposed to radon gas, but you don't have skin cancer, but we are talking about lung cancer? Remember I told you that the radon emits a particle which you call the alpha particle, which doesn't travel for too long, and it can be stopped by the skin, which is a dead layer. So it's not able to penetrate. But when you breathe it in, it settles, it turns into a solid particle, which settles into the lung tissues, and it has direct contact to the lung tissues. So over there, it damages the lung. It damages the tissues in the lungs. So initially, you may have some inflammation processes in the lungs, or the main thing which is of worrying to us is when it damages the DNA of the cells in the lung. So the student's amount says that, so the DNA is a part of the cell that contains the genetic material. So the DNA controls all the cell processes, okay? So if you damage the cell process, the DNA in the cells, then the cells behave abnormally. So in this case, the lung cells grow without control, and that is when you have a cancer. Oh, it must. Okay. All right. So I explained this, ionization energy, I explained how cancers are formed. This thing is racist, it's not identified. So I'm talking about cancer in general, okay? So I'm saying cancer, you think, yes, you are just saying anything, you haven't seen somebody with a lung cancer or those things. But this is the true picture. If you look at this, this page, you understand the gravity of what you are talking about. So if you look here, you will see that direction, yeah. No, but I need a pointer. So you see that lung cancer comprises about 12.4% of all cases of cancers. And if you look at 2022, there are about 20 million new cases of cancers. And lung cancer alone is taking about 12.4%. And it is said that if you take lung cancer alone, sorry, there was a mistake here. This is 2022. There are about 2.5 million new cases of lung cancer in 2022. And it was responsible for about 1.2 million deaths. And this is about a fifth of all global death from cancer. That is how serious it is. So you may think that it is far, it won't get close to you. But when a family member or a relative ends up with a lung cancer, then you know what you are talking about. And it's also said that smoking remains the main risk factor for lung cancer. However, about 15% of lung cancers occur in non-smokers. So this is what is a lot of people have investigated, or people are investigating, and we also expect local studies in our system. So yes, lung cancer, smoking, and then radon exposure. A lot of studies have been said. If you look at exposure to radiation, this diagram tells us that majority of radiation that we are exposed to are from natural sources. Okay, you can see radon here, you can see others here, and then let's also not forget about medical X-rays and radiation that we expose from nuclear medicine. You understand? But majority come from natural sources. Now, there are a lot of things that put us at risk of dying. Smoking cigarette, which we all know, traveling by road. People have been able to quantify the distances that if you travel, you're at risk of dying. And I'm sure they didn't consider Ghana, because with all these Okadas we have, you need probably about 10 meters or 20 meters to die from traveling on our roads. All these things are there, but all of them can be equated to about just 1 millisievert of radiation exposure. And I'm sure the previous presenter spoke about how the risk of exposure and then the risk of cancer occurring. This study was also done in the US. You have about 158,000 cases, deaths annually from the US, and 21,000, that's about 13%, can be attributed to radon. So this figure has been persistent. If you look at the years, this looks like it's quite an old article. It's in 2009. But if you look at 2020, it's almost the same. If you look at 2021, it's almost the same. If you look at 2022, it's almost the same. And then it is said that getting a lung cancer from radon exposure has led to about 17 how do you call it? 17 loss of years from every person. So if it is estimated that you are going to die at 70 years, this risk can take about 17 years out of you. That is what it means. Okay. Not to say that studies have not been done. Almost everything that we quote are from outside, but it is interesting to know that a lot of studies have also been done in a setting. So I was just going online and I realized that GAIEC has also done some studies, and some of the people who authored this paper are sitting here with us. So the summary of this paper is that most radiations that we have in our homes are within the safe limits, and then my previous presenter mentioned it. But there are some limitations. When was this study carried on? Is it the whole year from January to December? Is it from January to March? Is it from March to June? Is it from July to, because we know that the exposure to RADON changes with season. So it is important that stakeholders, people who matter, will help Ghana Atomic Energy to carry out more studies into this so that we know the pattern of radiation. Probably the duration of the study, it was at a time when we expect exposure of radon to be quite low. So we need to push a lot of monies into this so that we can talk confidently in public. But in all, WHO came out in 2023 to say that radon is estimated to cause about 3 to 14% of all cancers in a country. So whether you are from Ghana, you are from Nigeria, you are from US, you should expect that all the lung cancers that you are having, 3 to 14% is from radon gas. So we really need to do study to look at the pattern in our country. Not only the studies in Ghana, almost every study that was done before Cold War time, during the war time, early 50s, all international bodies, WHO, everybody has come to see that there is an association of radon to lung cancer. The question is, have we also done some here? Because, yes, we have. Okay. Now, I'm almost getting to the end of my presentation because everybody has said anything. Risk factors for developing a lung cancer. Previous presenter talked about the time, exposure, duration, where you are, whether you work in the mines, in the house, the nature of the building, all those things. But it is also important to note this factor, that 1 + 1 is not 2, but is equal to 3. Because smoking alone puts you at a risk of lung cancer, but exposure to radon also exposes you to lung cancer. But when you put the two of them together, they have an effect we call synergistic effect. So they will bite you more than each individual. Okay, so we have to put it in mind. And there are other things that will put us at risk, but they are minor. When you have a lung cancer, what happens? You cough. Cough may be productive of blood. You may lose weight. You may have chest pain. You may be having breathlessness, loss of appetite, unexplained weight loss, and all those things. When you notice that, go to the hospital, let them check, do an X-ray, do further investigation, and then if you have to be managed, you are managed early because early diagnosis is key. The earlier you are staged, the better your survival. Otherwise, you will join the high rate. You become a statistic. So in some few years, we add you to the number of people who die from lung cancer. The future. Radon is a radioactive gas, and we know that radiation has a link with other cancers. There are some studies that are trying to associate radiation to other cancers, including leukemia, but they are not verified. So as an institution, we can still further investigation into some of this association. But for now, we do not know. But we have to do, maybe Ghana will be the first country to associate radon to other cancers apart from lung cancers. Data in Ghana, we have some data. We need to do more. That is the future. We have to get data of radon exposure in almost every place. We have to get a national limit that calls for an action. So it is good that we have all stakeholders here so that you sit, you drive an agenda, and then you put in something better. And then with this research, we'll be able to get our exposure limit. To conclude, I saw a paper that summarized everything in addition to the first presenter's presentation. In summary, radon is a gas that is associated with lung cancer. When it's combined with smoking, you are at a higher risk of getting lung cancer. Residential radon exposure is influenced by geological, building, and atmospheric condition. And it is necessary, the last one, it is necessary to promote the integration and optimization of multidisciplinary methods in radon epidemiological study. In summary, what that line says is that let's come together, put our heads together, do studies, and then let's see the pattern of radon and its relation to lung cancer and other diseases in the country. Thank you very much.
I believe we can do it better for Dr. Tai. He promised he was going to talk very little. I think little is relative. But we enjoyed the lecture. Nice one. There are some media houses here that we want to acknowledge. The Ghana News Agency, you are here. Anyway, oh, nice one. Thank you for coming. The Daily Graphic is here. Yes, hiding there, okay. Peace FM is also here. JTV is here. City FM is also here. So is Channel 1 TV. Thank you. The last time I was invited to come to Peace FM, and I noticed there's so many things I don't know. For instance, the tree word for radiation, tree word for thermometer, I didn't know. There's so many. God is good. What I pick out from Dr. Tai's speech, just one line. When you start showing signs and symptoms, like spitting blood, phlegms, and stuff like that, which is akin to the lung cancer thing, report early. Because if you don't report early, you'll be added to the statistics. The number of people who died from lung cancer last year were, and then your name will be added. So just report early if you don't want your name to be added to the statistics. We are trying to prepare ourselves for the panel discussion, and there will be one or two other documentary we want to show you. After that, I will introduce the moderator for the panel discussion, and she will invite the panelists. And then we pick it up from there. But don't forget, write all your questions. When all is said and done, then you have the opportunity to ask your questions. Thank you very much. Are we ready for the documentary?
This is a type of naturally occurring gas that has a negative impact on human health when inhaled. Radon gas can be found in rock and soils. It is mostly emitted from underground, especially through tiny invisible cracks in the floor of buildings. Inhalation of this gas has potential devastating effects on human health, especially with the respiratory organs. But sadly, many Ghanaians do not know anything about it. Research scientists at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission says it is important to enact a law in the country that ensures radon gas concentration tests on particular sites before buildings are put up. So Kwakuche reports.
Radon gas affects unsuspecting human beings via emission through tiny, invisible cracks in the floor of buildings. Radon gas concentrations become very high in a room that has been locked up for hours without proper ventilation, especially at locations that may have high radon concentrations.
Any other, but it's outside, it's not an issue because the air then neutralizes it. So when we are indoor, it comes to where it will be entrapped, and then we heal it in our body. And the longer we stay in the room is where this radon can cause an issue within our...
Inhalation of radon gas has dire consequences on human health, as these substances are capable of causing lung cancer and other degenerative diseases in humans.
Here in Ghana, checking for radon gas levels at building construction sites is voluntary, unlike the developed countries where it is compulsory for estate developers to check for radon gas levels before construction works begin. Research findings indicate that radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer apart from smoking. Unfortunately, many Ghanaians know nothing about this gas and its potential devastating impact on human health.
The good news is Ghana, through the Radiation Protection Institute of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, GAEC, has received top-of-the-range, fully automated, ultra-modern laboratory equipment for monitoring radon gas. Land developers, especially underground mining sites, are being urged to have the soils of their property tested before putting up a building, or before allowing the miners to use underground pits.
This is the detector that we use to determine the radon gas. We expose so in the room and to pick the radon coming out as a result of the gas that we inhale.
But what if the building has already been constructed without a radon gas level test? There is no need to worry, as the device known as Radon X can measure concentration levels of radon gas in buildings, whether in homes, offices, or factories, among others, in real time. If a substantial amount of this gas is detected in a building, experts will provide the needed solutions. Head of the radon unit of the RPI of GAEC, Dr. Francis Otu, says a national policy that regulates the monitoring of radon gas levels is critical before buildings are put up at various locations across the country. Dr. Otu believes enforcement of a regulatory framework by the appropriate authorities will compel land developers to adhere to a strict radon gas testing procedure before construction works begin. This practice can reduce the incidence of lung cancer and other infections attributed to the inhalation of radon gas. Suyoko Kwakutre, GBC News, Accra.
So the person who did the presentation, who did the reporting, was Soyoko Kwakuchire. We are privileged today to have her here in person. Oh, you didn't clap? You have to thank me for making sure that you see her in person. Otherwise, you would have seen her. She's a seasoned Ghanaian broadcaster, broadcast journalist, and news anchor at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. She's had over 24 years' experience in radio and television and has established herself as a trusted and respected voice in the industry. She holds a Master of Arts degree in Communication and Media Studies. She's a multiple award winner. We're privileged today to have Madam Soyoko Kwakuchire to anchor the panel discussions for us. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we welcome her? Oh, you want to clap and clap and clap until she sits down.
Thank you very much, MC, for those kind words. Good morning, everyone, and you're warmly welcome to today's discussion. I am Soyoko Kwakutre, and I'm going to be your moderator for the conversation, which will take place very soon. So over the next 1 hour or so, we will explore what radon is. Our earlier speakers have taken us through the health implication of radon exposure. So we're going to move from that and then talk about the general awareness and education, policy and regulation, and the way forward. We have an esteemed panel of experts joining us today, and I will introduce them shortly. Our discussion will consist of opening remarks and a Q&A, that is question and answer session. So I would like to remind all of us to kindly switch off our mobile phones, or alternatively put it on silent or vibration mode so that we can have an interesting conversation. Thank you very much for your understanding. With that, let's meet our distinguished panelists for today. And from the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, GAEC, we have Professor David Okun-Beglu. He is the Manager, Environmental Radiation Protection Center, Radiation Protection Institute. Then from the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, I'm pleased to introduce to you Mrs. Karen Osekre. She's the Deputy Director, Geological, Geotechnical, and Engineering Geology. Thank you very much, Madam, for attending. Now let's move to the Minerals Commission, and we have Mr. Desmond Wahin. He is a Deputy Chief Inspector of Mines, Technical Service, and Explosion Minerals Commission. Thank you very much. We move to the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, and Professor Augustine Fanu, Director, Radiological and Non-Ionizing Radiation Directorate, Nuclear Regulatory Authority. Thank you very much. We were expecting to have a fifth panelist, but I think I'll take my seat, then we'll start with the conversation. So panelists, good morning once again, and you're welcome to this segment. I'm going to throw the first question to all of you because it's basically something that we must have a response from all of you. And it is about general awareness and education. The first question is, okay, so you can take it. Sure. All right, thank you very much. So we have, in our daily activities, we say ladies first. So I'm not being biased here, but I would like to start with the lady because ladies first always. So it is believed that a lot of people, especially Ghanaians, have no or little idea of what radon is. So the question is, how will you support efforts to raise awareness and education of the general public?
So coming from the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, we are to advise, promote, and research into geoscientific issues with regards to mineral resources, groundwater, geohazards, and that is earthquake-related issues. Good. So with regards to radon awareness, you know, we heard from the presentation that it is related to the geology. And we know that radon emissions are from the soil that we build on, that we sit on, that we work on. So for geological survey, we are ready to partner this institution with regards to the creation of awareness of radon in our societies, because we are to advise on geohazard issues, and we can classify this as one of geohazard issues that we have in the country.
So how are you going to create the awareness as an authority?
You know, our mandate ensures that we engage in community engagement with regards to seismic activities. And you heard from the presentations that where radon levels are high, then we can even use that to even map seismic activities. So in our community engagement, stakeholders engagement with regards to seismic, we would try to incorporate awareness on radon activities. We'll incorporate it into it.
All right, thank you very much, Madam. Now let's move to the Minerals Commission. Today we're not talking about galamsey, we're talking about radon, which is so much important and dear to my heart and dear to the heart of GAEC, you know. So as the first question posed to the Geological Survey Authority, the same question I'm asking you: how are you going to create awareness on this deadly radioactive gas?
Thank you, Madam. The Minerals Commission has the mandate to also promote the use of minerals, the exploitation of minerals. And as mining has to do with the earth crust, and radon is coming from the earth crust or from the soils and the rocks, it's also per se our mandate to make sure that those who will be doing the extraction or the exploitation do not end up having any form of diseases. I'm saying this because charity begins at home, but in the public space, once a miner is educated or becomes aware of it, he goes home and educates the family. And that's why you have my boss, Mr. Richard Kofiaje, being part of or being a board member here, and the commission as a whole supporting NRA or a GAEC in this regard. So for us, with the Chamber of Mines, we do annual events like the Mine Safety, where we come out with slogans. So we can start from there, having a slogan for radon, and then we'll start the education from there. So Commission is ready, and if you are aware of MDF and MIF, there are some components of research that the monies that accrue from mineral exploitation has to be used for. So Commission with that background knowledge can also direct GAEC to also access some funds from that angle to be able to go with the awareness programs. Thank you.
I hope GAEC is taking note of it. These are commitments they are making, and we will hold them accountable to that.
It's information I'm giving, not commitment.
but
if it were galamsey, I would say it's a commitment.
But we want this to be a commitment, but you can't take it off the hook now. So let's go to the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. I'm placing GAEC to put the icing on the cake, because that's the home of testing for this particular guy. So let's come to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And I'm bringing you a greeting from the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. So from the regulatory point of view, everything that has to do with radiation is the Nuclear Regulatory Authority that is supposed to ensure that requirements are enforced for the control to protect humans and the environment. That is the overall objective. So for us to be able to carry out this mandate effectively, would need collaboration with other stakeholders. And these set of collaborators include especially technical support organizations like the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, who has the know-how to be able to carry out measurements. Is this measurement that can be used then to formulate guidelines and come out with regulatory framework levels that members of the public, operators, or everybody need to comply with to ensure that humans are safe. So from our point of view, we will support any collaborative approach towards establishing the national levels, which will be the basis for us to be able to come out of what? A reference level to be able to regulate these radon gas in homes and facilities that emit radon gas. So we are willing to support any kind of activities, collaboration, whether it's research or anything to be able to get a national data to support this cause. Thank you.
That's good news then. Then Gaik, what do you have to say? Because we know that you are the home of where we can just come to you and get our facilities tested. So why haven't we had this kind of awareness all this time? Because when I came over to do the story, that was the first time I heard of RADON anyway. I did my own research, then came back the second time, and I was asking, you have all this facility in place, so why don't you make the noise about it? Because I talk to people and they just laugh it off. They're like, we've stayed in our houses for 50 years, 60 years, and we're now talking about RADON. And it sounded weird to a lot of the people I spoke to. So what is your commitment in fighting this?
Thank you very much. Yes, so we from GAEC, just like you heard from various presenters earlier, elaborating on the various plans in terms of education, awareness, and trying to have testing, getting results across country. It comes with a little challenges, and to start from the last point of Director from Nuclear Regulatory Authority, collaboration has been one area that is where we need in time when it's going forward, because we've heard about the RADON, two main folds, talking about RADON in workplaces, also RADON in homes. Okay, so one aspect has to do with public, and when it comes to public, it's more of social contract or local government having overall sense of public safety to safeguard the whole population. When it comes to the workers, it's an occupational issue, and most cases you go to these firms and only what they obey is laws. So the first thing you hear from such a firm regarding looking at RADON in workplaces, where is the regulation? Who mandates us to do this? Is it Minerals Commission? Is it EPA? Is it Geological Survey? Or is it NRA? So if those mediums are not there, it makes it like we, based on persuasion, to appeal to this organization in order to do workplace monitoring. And the same applies to when it comes to public as well, going to do RADON testing in homes. And this aspect, we are looking like grader. We've made certain advances to try to education. But if I'll come down to the thrust of the question, like educating how best we can do, yes. Collaboration with these agencies are key, because you realize that, for instance, Minerals Commission or Chamber of Mines, they mentioned they have a larger mandate. NRA also has that larger mandate to meet with such organization, where if we can get that platform, yes, it makes it easier to educate a larger of this institution, seeing the regulator.
We'll talk about it when we get to the, we have another segment that will talk about policy regulation. So tell us what you will do to create awareness.
Yeah,
you know.
so additionally now, we are thinking, we are happy. We have, for instance, the SHS school here, and we think teachers should look at science teachers, physics. Radon or radioactivity can be found in both physics and chemistry. And this is something we think it should be in the curricula, such that right from that level, if a student knows about radon, it's easy to also educate the mother or the father who maybe has not been to school and will understand. So going to our school curricula. And now you know social media is very key. Yeah. Somebody says if you want to get a good message out, make the message sexy, appealing, and put on social media. They will get it read. So that is one side we also have to look at. We can even come with some smart apps technology organization, ICT organization can help, that we can pass simple information, hashtags, that can get people rightly aware when it comes to RADON, and I think those two I want to add, which we will look at.
So these are the kind of interventions that you would like
at going forward, educating the public. Yes.
Why should we be even concerned about RADON and its effects?
Yes, so just to emphasize what the other speakers already said, you know, when it comes to RADON, it gives much for concern because one, we are looking at it's a major public safety concern, and we have also seen the health risks that is associated when it comes to RADON. We've all heard about lung cancer this morning with the doctor explaining very clearly as well to us what it comes to RADON. And it also issues of, in fact, the awareness, general lack of awareness, people not also being aware, like from the testimony we heard from other speakers, where you go and hand a detector and somebody thinks it's a camera and you move it because you want to monitor him. But we are also looking to get data to give to our policy makers. So overall, I would say that RADON is a concern because one, it's a major public health safety and also the health risks associated. And also it helps us to be able to deal with this issue of unawareness, because if you don't know, you will not be able to deal with it, and we cannot necessarily even put any mitigations in place to solve this menace.
Okay, now let's move to the NRA. So we are talking about enhancing importance of this of RADON in public institutions or public places. How can we do this effectively? As we're talking the view as a regulatory body.
Okay, so again, RADON, like already been expressed, it's not something we can see. It's a subject that is generally difficult to talk about, just like radiation in general. It's a concept that is so abstract. And for that matter, to get people to really appreciate what it's about, the message needs to be kept simple. So that while you want to communicate this effect to the public, you shouldn't go using big jargons or scientific terms that these scientists are very used to doing. We should keep it simple. A message like, radium is a radioactive gas in your homes. It can cause cancer, it can be measured, and it can help save your family. A simple message like that can easily be absorbed by every member of the public. And with this, you now put in the needed communication strategy on how we need to communicate by involving the needed experts. It's not everybody who can do a good communication. Scientists are not good in that. So while he knows the science, he needs to what? Blend that with something like, should I say, psychologists or epidemiologists, okay? So they'll be able to break down the scientific data to the basic understanding of the ordinary person. So our message should be kept simple, based on scientific facts, targeted at the audience of interest. We cannot use the same message for different audience. Well, if you are dealing with people who are technocrats, and you use what they call a jargon, they will understand. But believe me, if you go to somebody's homes, in our homes, and you start speaking your big jargons, please, you will go there without nothing. However, the message should be persuasive. So like my colleague David said, we need a law, but even with a law, the awareness is low. So you need to couch a message that is very persuasive to be able to reach out to the public. Thank you.
Sure, I like that portion where you said we should not be using big jargons. I saw a couple of students amongst us, and maybe during the Q&A session, we will test them. They should tell us what they've learned so far, because they can't be in this room for 2 hours or so and not tell us anything about RADON. They must be agents for change, because I believe they are supposed to go out and tell their colleagues, and even when they go home, they tell their parents, their friends, their parents, friends, what they've learned about RADON, and it will go a long way in creating awareness on RADON. Let's go to the policy, and I'll put this question across. So I started with the lady first. I think I have to go back to her again from the Minerals Commission, and we're talking about policy and regulation. What kind of policy and regulation should be developed to ensure radon safety in Ghana?
Should be similar to the bylaws that we have at our local district assemblies. You know, at the district assembly, you are mandated, any developer is mandated to submit a soil report or geotechnical report prior to any development. And that is the direction that we should look at. Once it is mandated at the local level, then any developer would be also mandated to come and request for radon tests prior to development. So for example, at geological survey, we are mandated to also provide geotechnical investigation and issue certified reports. So as part of support for creation of awareness, in our conduction of geotechnical investigation, would try to let the developers know that it's also mandatory, it's a requirement. However, the enforcement should begin at the assembly level, because that is where permits are issued for building. And it's very necessary if we begin from that level.
All right, so the NRA, let's...
Okay, so to add to what you just said, for me, I always want to support things of data. You can't start thinking of policy formulation or development without data to support it. So the first point of call should be that we should have a data, and based on that data, the collaborative institutions can now decide that no, this data is alarming, and therefore as a country, we need a policy direction on how we can control this in our homes and at our workplace. So with that done, we now move to the next level, where now individual organization has specific roles in terms of regulatory control. The EPA has a role on environmental protection, the Minerals Commission in terms of mining area, the NRA, anything to radiation. So a framework that will ensure that at the end of the day, for a developer to do something, you need an environmental permit. But that environmental permit should be based on an input from other collaborating agencies that will require that at least testing is done on whatever you have done, and therefore the regional levels are established, based on which a permit is granted you to do whatever you can do. This will be my position on that. Thank you.
So from the Atomic, Gaek, we'll take you before I take him.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. So, yes, this issue I already mentioned when it comes to the policy direction that should be in place for us, especially, like I said, when it comes to occupational assessment, like in workplaces. We've seen in mines, in other organizations that deals with waste and other stuff that are related to extractive industries, also have higher places where we can have. But yes, I fully support the point of gathering data. It is very key. We need data in order to be able to come out with some reference level or to be able to make a specific regulation that will be able to solve our needs, both sides. Yes. However, I still think, for instance, approaching through, we as Atomic Energy, going as a technical support organization, even seeking to gather data sometimes makes it very difficult for us. Okay. On the basis that, okay, I let the organization know I'm not here as a regulator, I'm not here on the basis of an enforcement or a regulatory requirement that demands you. But I'm here on the basis of gathering research data, which can be used in the future to give a broad framework which helps solve all your needs. Because we try to even explain to this organization sometimes that it's a dual role, because we somehow are supporting you, the organization, to help solve other issues of litigation between you and the staff. Maybe in Ghana, we've not developed to that stage. We saw an example of Dr. Irene's presentation telling us in US, where somebody bought land, a house, which was not tested because it was mandatory, such occupants could sue the owner and get huge compensations. So if you are an organization and your staff will come back and sue you, we are also collaborating to help solve that future problem. But most cases, even those ones still doesn't sit well, because most times organizations look at profit making. It is income versus profit. So once it is not mandatory, it makes it problem. So we will still advocate for the regulatory authority, as well as the most of, when I say regulatory authority, not really NRA, because sometimes they are also limited, because some permits will go out before they will even get to know, because other people are on the ground. Like Madam said, for the local assemblies, which is main point when it comes to building. Once you get a permit, there will be no stop work. And they will build before maybe NRA will see or another to say, where is your RADON or impact assessment? Maybe it is too late. So if we get all these agencies involved and they are able to even write a letter supporting GAEC, that GAEC as part of our regulatory processes to gather data on which we can come out with a future policy or guideline. So open your doors and support this organization to gather data for us to be able to, because the regulator also don't want to come out with laws which is not supported by science or data, which can also have problem on them. So if they do that for us, then it will going to help to be able for us to get the data, which will help in the future setup of the ideal situation where we have the regulations go for residential purposes as well as occupational purposes. And that is our position when it comes to
Mr. Boyne, your Minerals Commission's position on this.
Thank you. So as my senior colleague said, to do this, you need a baseline. So data is key here. And once you build the data and you present to those who matter, then you can state your case. But when you come out with policy, policy is not law. So the policy comes, the law comes, and then the regulation will come and give the effect. With the commission, I would say in the mining industry, we have all. If you read the LI 2182, the Minerals and Mining Health, Safety and Technical Regulations, the Regulation 179, you see that there is some provision for quality of mine air. So taking it from that point of view, you can, that is the sub 2D, paragraph D, you will see that there are some prescription for carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide and some other inert gases. Now, when you go down to the D, you realize that the sub 5, the chief inspector has the mandate or has the power to make guidelines for this quality. What that means is that if NRA or if we want to talk about RADON or we want to develop anything for RADON, it is just for the chief inspector to tell the miners that from now on, you have to include this in your assessment. So when you go to the regulation 188, it also calls or provides for the analysis of the mine air, regular analysis. So that regular analysis will now include your RADON. So policy is key, but we must transcend it to regulations.
Okay, so you're talking about data, so let's move to this. We have a building code, right? So how can this help in addressing this issue, especially before buildings are put up?
Well, for building codes or regulations and the act, just before an act comes, probably there's guideline or there's nothing. Then you will have transitional provisions. If we don't have RADON in the building code to be a mandatory test before you do your building, probably in that code, there is somewhere, just like I quoted, that the chief inspector has the power to develop guidelines. So there should be guidelines from them which will take effect to do this one. So building code was just developed for Ghana not too long ago, where the British had their own for very long. But I can't say that I've read that one. I don't know whether that provision is there for whoever that administers it to make sure that whatever comes new, there is that room for you to fix it in.
So let me go to GAEC, because you are engaged in this. And let's talk about the building code, So I hope you have a clear understanding of what is in the building code. Do we have something like this for radon gas?
Actually, we got to know about that, the building code, and we made several efforts to try and find out, just like he said, explicitly, this is not catered for, because most cases you see that there are very clear framework available, but maybe implied that we could still use, just like the air quality, there's provision for it. It could be used to, because radon is a gas as well, which is inhaled, to interpret to mean that one as well. But as it stands now, yes, we're making requests and then trying to make input into it to the appropriate authority for them to be able to look at maybe when they next, most of the time, either they are going to review, amend, and they can input this aspect of radon into it to make sure that it caters for. But to say, in fact, when it comes to the residential issue, it is very wide, because when you compare, you have so many houses, and the way we build our houses and our permitting system, starting from the local authority, to APA and all that, the licensing regime. Yes, there seems to be laws, but most times the technical aspect is a little problematic in terms of meeting them, like Madam talked about soil testing. You have to test the soil to be sure that all other geotechnical issues are met with, and the strength of the soil to carry all those buildings, yes. And so it could easily be extended, to let radon testing be part of it. So these are discussions we are making to ensure that the current building code, how best it can accommodate to get radon tested. And this we've started, and we hope the stakeholders will collaborate, and once through mediums such as this, if they get a clear understanding and issues at stake with radon, they will see the need for us to look at how best in the short term to be able to get this into it.
All right. So, Mrs. Osakre, so he spoke about what you said about testing of cells. So, with regards to this building code, how can this address the radon issue?
All right. The soil testing can be extended further to include radon testing, like he mentioned. And in my view, that will be easier in incorporating radon testing with regards to geotechnical investigation prior to development, which is very important. And it may be one of the easiest way to go about it.
So, what she said, can you sum it up for us?
This is a WASI question you have asked. But I will try to see what I can say. To start with, I don't know, I've not seen the building code before, okay. And I don't know what is inside there. Nonetheless, look, like Electoral Survey said, there are always provisions or ways you can go around provision that is very close to something that you can do. But in addition to that, from the NRA point of view, our regulations are yet to be passed. But provisions have been made on the levels that should not be exceeded for buildings. And therefore, once that is done, the other institutions can make use of that information and see how that people who are involved in building, particularly the big estate developers, we need to build in such a way that the levels in such, their rooms are not exceeding them. Bear in mind that radon comes from the material that is used in the building, not just what the cracks are. So if already the soil has a high level of radium, 226 in it, then means that while you are in there, it will be emitting into it. So all these need to be taken into account and come out whatever we need to do so far as building is concerned. Thank you.
So I listened to Doctors Opoku and Tim's presentation, and I realized that even the data that we have currently, we're using the old Ghana map. So then there is a need to develop this kind of map using the 16 regions now for us to see places where radon is highly concentrated, right? So who should develop this? In your view, I throw it to all four, because who should develop and who should pay for the cost of all these? Because at the end of the day, this is a national assignment, a national duty. It's not only GAEC, it's not only Minerals Commission. Who should do this?
I think that once we are all at risk, even the president himself is at risk. Yes. So it's a matter of calling on those who have the knowledge and the data now to say, where do we start from? Then when we know where we are starting from and where we are going, then we know the resources to bring in and the people or the stakeholders that to bring on board. And then it starts from there. Otherwise, if we say NRA or GAEC or any one entity should take the mantle, maybe it may be too heavy for them and they will break their back. So, but once this forum is here, we have some limited amount of data which we can develop. As for the Ghana map, the geographic locations have not changed, whether it's 16 or 20. It's a matter of populating the data we have, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, Madam.
Yes. I would also say that we are here because we know that the professionals who can determine or detect radon exposure are here. So it begins from here because they have the profession to do that.
Sure.
They may also have the equipment, the logistics to determine these risks and exposures in our communities. So we need to look at where capacity for data generation can be found. And I'm sure it sits with GAEC. So that is where we need to begin. It may not be part of currently, maybe perhaps there are policies, national policies, but the policies can be amended. It can be extended further to include that. We actually need to put in effort to add radon exposure risk detections or levels into our policies. And it may have to begin with GAEC.
GAEC, okay. So I'll let GAEC be the last speaker because I think the mantle is falling on you now. So let's go to the regulatory authority and we see.
Yes, so again, so we need to set up a radon map for the country. So who should do that?
Yes, and who should invest?
Who should invest? Another wide question. So for me, we need to first of all identify all the strategic stakeholders on this project. With that, we might need to have a kind of, I don't know how to term it, maybe a national task force or something like that. So this team will be responsible for sort of implementing whatever strategy we need to implement to gather the data. Now, where would the resources come from? again, maybe the collaborating agencies will all have to agree that let's all support this cause. Believe me, if you want to say we want to go to central government, we need to have paper. And the paper should have data before you can go there. So if you do this preliminary work, even if it's not comprehensive enough, then we'll have something on paper that shows the levels are quite risky. Then we can now reach out for central government for bigger sponsorship, if that will be possible. So to start with, we need to have a kind of a group, or I don't know how to call it, they can come up with a group. Then we'll have representatives from the various stakeholders be part of that group, tasked with the mandate to see how we can come out of about a RADON map, because we can't put that responsibility on only guy, because it will be too much to do. We need support from other agencies. Thank you.
Okay, so Prof.
Thank you. So, Director somehow sum it, because when it comes to this issue, like I said, we'll be in the past trying to do based on the data we've shown. We've tried, not that we are not doing, we are trying our best, but we still need more support to be able to achieve this, and we need broader stakeholder involvement, like intergovernmental. We are also a government agency, but if we team up, there's EPA on board, there's Mineral Commission, we all see NRA on board, and we see that, okay, this is a project, something we must do to be able to gather the necessary data to move forward, then it makes it a little easier. Like you said, GAEC alone, bearing this cost is very, very, very hard, most cases, to be able to go around the country and gather the necessary data that we need. That is one. Then the other persons I'll look at is private sector, and I'll even go to international organizations as well as community outreach organizations like NGOs, because issue of RADON, one, we've established today here, is of public safety. And most of the aims and visions of, for instance, WHO is to ensure public safety. So there should be a mode, but we need to go with paper justification, of course, to convince and make a case why they should support some budget to public safety regarding RADON, so that some of these things can be used. Because when it comes to homes, in as much as this extent we may come there, not too costly now, but most homes, especially those that have already been put up, that we need to assess, may be reluctant on the basis of paying themselves, willing to pay out something that will come to my home and test. In the US or in the Western West, about $15, $30, you can get a kit in your room, like Dr. Irene said, and you go, you test this, measure, give to the organization. But here, we convert $30 to cedis. You know what we are talking about. And that may be difficult for individuals in the first place willing to hang on such a project. But if we have private sector, NGOs coming on board, supporting as their social corporate responsibility, they channel such that, like appeal to Greta, they're doing much already, but they can still do more in this area, because at the end of the day, such data goes a long way to help them. They know the hotspots, and they know how to plan buildings, structures, because this information data will also go a long way to assist them. So I'll say, yes, government needs to come in, private organization needs to come in, international organization like WHO, who has public safety as some of their missions, also come in, as well as health and safety. We are grateful to Zoe for traveling and coming all the way from Takrady to yes, because yes, they have other processes, or they deal with materials that sometimes comes with NOM, which has this uranium, thorium, which can lead to radon emanation within confined space. So such organizations can also support help within their communities, at least to sponsor a testing of houses or facilities within their community, and that also will go a long way to help us gather this radon map for the country.
So now we've spoken about the investment for data. Now let's go to the testing and awareness creation. So then my question to all of you once again, then I'll start from my immediate right, then we go that way, is how do we then create stakeholder collaboration and engagement to promote widespread radon testing and awareness?
stakeholder engagement, that's why, like I mentioned before, first of all, we need to reach out or identify first the stakeholders who think will be very relevant so far as this course of gathering data on RADON is concerned. With that done, we then need to have a team, okay, and this team then will be the one to spearhead the activities of gathering the data and also leading the campaign about RADON awareness. And bear in mind that, look, the message at the end of the day will need to couch, should be uniform. And use one uniform every time, a uniform message every time, depending on the target audience. So one stakeholder cannot go and say RADON things differently, another one say differently. We must have one voice so far as the health effects of RADON is concerned and the need for us to be protected. And this is where we think that the stakeholders need to all be together as one team to move this course.
I ask this question based on the available data that we have now.
Okay.
So how do we use this available data to create that awareness and sustain that awareness too?
So with the available data, I don't know the levels as at now, but whatever the levels are, the risk level is still there. So as earlier communicated by the medical doctor, the risk 1 + 1 is not equal to 3. It's not equal to 2, it's equal to 3. So for that matter, whilst the risk might be low, it can add on to whatever risk we're exposed to. Besides the RADON, there are other things we're also getting from the environment. So we don't need to burden ourselves with additional things like radon gas. So we use this data and formulate or couch a very simple message and begin through maybe seminars or leaflets or whatsoever to be able to begin to reach out to the public. And like I said before, when you reaching out to the public, the message needs to be persuasive. Already the subject is very abstract, and therefore you need to let them really see reason why it is important that we take care of our health and take particularly radons that we have in our homes. More so when we build our homes, particularly in our rural areas, with very poor ventilation. Sometimes the flooring is not made of all those things. So there's an increased rate with all that kind of situation. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Desmond.
Thank you. I think we are all aware that in times past, tuberculosis was prevalent. Yeah. And when you go to the mines, especially Takwa and Obuasi, because they were doing underground mining, they were working in confined areas, the infection rate was very high. How did we get it down? It was through awareness creation and also testing. When it comes to the mines, there's always that awareness that there is a risk somewhere, there is a hazard somewhere. So any mine you go, we have what we call hazard identification and mitigation. Therefore, what are the factors? What do you see that A is going to happen or B is going to happen? That same thing applies to radon. Once we have our data set and we know what to do, it's a matter of who and who are supposed to be on the bandwagon. Then we will start and go. Mining is ready. Chamber of Mines, they are always there to collaborate, as well as the Minerals Commission. And once a word goes from chamber to the mines or from the commission to the mines, they are ready to do that. And when we get that population, bringing it to the general population is easier, like I mentioned earlier. So for testing in the mines, it's not an issue. Once we have sets to go or kits to go and test, they are ready to. It is our homes that, but once we educate the mines, they can take it to their homes, and then their neighbors will also get to benefit whatever that they have learned. Then the testing can go on.
Sure. So, Mr. Secretary?
We know that it's expensive to generate data. However, at the moment, we have some limited data available. We need to make use of the data that we have. Perhaps right from here, we can set up a national committee with regards to the subject under discussion, and then we can develop basic flyers. You know, simple ones. Are you living close to a mine, a quarry? Are you living in a concrete structure or a concrete structure? You know that because of lack of availability of sand, now people have, or developers have resorted to using quarry dust in place of sand with regards to building blocks and all that. Yes, so someone will say, oh, perhaps once I cover my foundation with a membrane before casting the slab, my house is free from radon. That is not it at all. The materials used in building can also contribute to radon gas generation. And we know these days, many of us are living in poorly ventilated rooms and offices. So there should be simple banners that we can fly on social media to create the awareness. That is how the sensitization will grow, and people will come to know that they are at risk of this dangerous gas and become aware of the situation.
Okay, Prof?
Yes, so thank you. No, just like it's already established, the testing is the only way, in fact, for us to be able to know of the presence of radon, because they've told us we can't, you cannot smell it, you cannot see it, you cannot taste it. Okay, you go to most working environment, especially in the mine, and if there is benzene, you will know there is benzene. If there is sulfur dioxide, you will know. Even cyanide, they will know. But when it comes to radiation, that makes it some form of, we need some demystification, because it's like, I can't sense it, I can't see it, and you are trying to tell me how true is it, you understand? So sometimes, because none of the senses, it makes it a little complicated. But having said that, yes, so the testing is very important, we must do, and how we create awareness with this, in addition to what they have said. Sometimes sharing success stories with such communities or with such workplaces of what has been done in another place and what they got, the results that they saw, also motivate the other organization to be wanting to do. So yes, we started, we've done some mine, like my colleague showed. We've gone to some mine, Chirano, we've gone to Newmont. Yes, sharing this story, if you get a platform with other mines, we motivate them with the stakeholders' support to let this other organization also take it up and try to do this testing. And of course, when they get the results, it helps to be able to give awareness to people to know that indeed radon is present and at what level. Because based on that information, at what level is very key for the regulators to be able to establish the way forward with regard to policy.
Okay, so I'll take you out of my last question because I'm trying to wrap up so that we can do the Q&A session. You've given all these beautiful initiatives, so then how do we evaluate all these beautiful initiatives that you've suggested over time? I will start with NRA.
Again, so to evaluate the progress we've made?
Yeah.
That's a big question. It's even more than one C. It's A-level. So I think that, like we said before, immediately after here, we need to have maybe a formalized team involving all the stakeholders, and then set some terms of reference for them. Now, with the terms of reference, maybe we can give them performance indicators. And then 1 year on, maybe we can meet again in this forum again to find out how far we have gone. Thank you.
All right. Okay, then, Mr. Desmond.
Yeah, so we need a structured format or some key parameter indicators. And as he said, in the next year, we come back and say, we said we're going to achieve A, we have gotten B, so we need to push further. We said this should be 10%, it is 0. So what went wrong? We have to do some key plan job observation, as it were, to see whether what we have set to do, we've been able to do. And I believe that the team that will be put in place will be capable to do that. and we'll take it from there.
Madam Osekwe?
I'll go along with my two colleagues. Yes, that a committee should be put in place. Terms of reference for their commission should be developed. Then, maybe after a year, like my colleague just said, if we go through the TRO and then we realize that we have achieved what we were set for, then we can say that we are on the good course. But for me, evaluation can be done when perhaps on the street, I randomly ask a developer or even a colleague at the office about his knowledge about RADON. Then that colleague will be able to tell me something about it. Then we are making some advancement, yes, a headway.
All right. Okay.
So, yes, just to take it from there, yes, I was put down, yes, some form of survey questionnaires. We, in this case, we have to act as carriers to support the other regulatory and the stakeholder. For instance, the data we've already gathered, we could put them in together. The little we have, which is not covering everywhere, which would be as a form of a report, annual report, which can serve this national committee of sort. We'll be able to look at it and see what we've gathered so far, in addition to having short surveys and questionnaires, trying to find out the impact based on even, because there are radio interviews, there are news so you meet any ordinary person on the street or go to a community to be sure. We know P7 can go as far as, or GBCs everywhere, understand? So as to whether these documentaries they watch and how far have they heard, at least they know what is RADON. So some of these surveys, yes, but it will come with some logistics and resources to be able to do such a very extensive evaluation. Yes, but with the help of stakeholders, I think we can do such feedback.
All right. Well, I think we've had an insightful discussion. I hope you all agree with me. And it's time for us to wrap up. Nana, I think I made it within the 1 hour or so. Thank you so much for listening to us. And it will be question and answer, but I think my MC will take over. But in wrapping up, I would like to introduce those I've been having this discussion with. And from my far left was from the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Professor David Okukpeglu. And then from the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, Mrs. Karen Osekwe. And from the Minerals Commission, Mr. Desmond Boahen. And from the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, Professor Augustine Fanu. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all the submissions you've made.
So we can get up here?
Yeah, we can get up now. Thank you. Let me give it to them. Please have yours.
Please, let's give them a big round. See how quickly they left the stage? It's not so easy to be sitting in front of everybody and you don't know where the questions are coming from. So this is Q&A time. Okay, Chairman has a question, and it can go to any one of you to answer.
Thank you. I don't think there's any doubt that radon is dangerous. And the first presentation also indicated that the coastal areas have higher radon as smaller as you go up country. I don't think we need an additional data other than the preliminary data that shows that we have a problem for the government to develop a policy. If the government has a policy, we will know which agency is specifically responsible for this. GAID can test, but is GAID responsible for the whole country? We have a country of 32, 34 million people. So there has to be, we already have some data. The government, probably the group that is to be established could do a paper which GAID can present as a to the cabinet for them to set up a policy. Because with that policy and a responsible agency, there will be budget. The government will have to put up a budget to help that organization implement whatever policy they are developing. So these are my comments, and I'm, because I'm not sure whether we put in the cart before the horse, the cart before the horse. But the government has to be involved. The government has to have a policy. We have to have a program. The government has to indicate which organization will take the lead here. And with that, there will be a budget from the government to support that specific agency to carry through the program. This is huge. And on the building side, as part of the, building permit, at least some preliminary report on radon at the site should be part of the package for, land commission, whoever, to approve the permit. It's a beginning. Of course, later on, after the building is built, one can do follow-up on it. Thank you.
Indeed, as Chairman said, maybe any one of you want to add up, but as you can hear, he believes that we have enough data to even start something. Who wants to? Okay, let me give it to you first.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And like he made mention, if you read about the history of radon, it happened as a result of even the radiation as an accident. For example, if a rock, when some people are working on the rock, and then they will encounter, let's say, soil or rocks, they used to build, as a result of building, they will find out that within some time they have a lot of period. So based on it, a lot of international organizations, including IEA, have even brought the guidelines, especially for member states, of which even the last time I was even able to be part of being the 2 Africans they are even yet to publish radon in workplaces guidelines from International Atomic Energy Commission. So I think if even we don't have the regulations or guidelines, we are part of the member states, and they have a lot of safety requirement documents with the limits and some of the review and recommendation. So I think for a start, and since we are also getting the data, for government or regulators can even start with those limit and reference level. As we are talking to, if you look at we have BSG and Part 3, of which the same basic and most of the things have been adopted by Nuclear Regulatory Authority, as I'm talking to you now, with the values. So I was thinking that once they have it, we can also incorporate the data they have, and we can start from there. So that in future,
so you seem to agree with what the chairman is saying.
100%.
But then there's the second question: which ministry or agency should be the sole responsible for this? Is it EPA? Is it Mineral Commission?
Okay, sorry. Yes. Yes.
The policy of the government will determine which agency should take it up. Okay.
And I'm not government appointee too. So.
You are not a government appointee. Okay. I've seen some hands up there. But by the way, do we know the radon value for Jubilee House? No, we don't even know. Is there?
Okay, thank you. I want to agree. Yes, thank you very much. I want to agree wholly with the chairman that yes, data is important, but we do have the data. Currently, some were even shown to us. We do have the data. And on top of the data, we also have the science and knowledge that was espoused here. What we are dealing with now should be seen as a national emergency. It's a public health issue. It's a public health risk. And just to give an example, you see, radon is the second risk, second to smoking in terms of lung cancer. But if you check, Ghana, in terms of the ratings in smoking, we are very low, very, very low. So even if you do the science and evaluation, you may even find out that instead of smoking being the highest risk, it may be radon, rather. So it's a national emergency, and we have the science, we have the knowledge, and we have the data. So the question then is, why? What are we waiting for? And why are we not acting? Thank you.
Okay, so this is not a question, it's a comment for us, that we should treat this as a national emergency. Then I believe that the body we are talking about to be set up to, as it were, we'll give them the terms of reference and stuff like that. That body should rather put up a paper to be sent to the government. Yes, okay. So that's the way we will see it, as a national emergency, and then through MESTI. Okay, GAEC is under MESTI, so through MESTI to the government. I think that's the way to go. Anyway, there are some hands up. Somebody has a microphone already. Okay, please.
Thank you very much, the organizers of this program. Engineer Dr. Sogbe is my name. I mentioned this for a purpose. Research and development. Okay, that propel S&T, that is science and technology endeavor, that leads to national development. And in many jurisdictions, fundings are from minerals, the country's natural resources, the oil, the gas, and the minerals. Now, RADON, for instance, we say we should go and, each household should subject themselves for RADON scrutiny. The question is, what are the remedial measures, mitigating factors? For example, Ghana is going nuclear, and then we're going to expose ourselves to radiation leakages. Do we go into radiological shielding capabilities of materials? I specifically mentioned this. My doctoral research discovered that, I've discovered a composite material that can shield radiation, and I call it radiation protection cement. It has been there. I do not want to publish out of it, but what patent. And I've been struggling with patenting all over up to now. So the question is, how do we really, advance if we do not, we do not pay attention to research and development, and then the radiological, the radion measurement in various homes. When you, let's say in my house, they come and check and they say, hey, I have overdose radion there. What is the remedial measure taken so I don't sleep and say, hey, now radion is all over me? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I saw Adolf hands. Yes, please give it to him. Adolf first, and then you at the back.
Okay, thank you very much.
But your question has to be answered. Who is going to, what will be the mitigation effect? Are you prepared to solve that problem for him? You want to answer that? Yes. You answer.
Okay. So, Engineer Sogbe, thank you. So, yes, I'm not sure, maybe you'll be thinking we'll ask you to break the house. No, the house will not be, will not collapse the house. Just as the various speakers said, yes. One of the most easier remediation or mitigation we recommend for radon, one is increased ventilation. So if I come to your house and you have very small window based on the measurement, I'll ask you to maybe remove the windows and try and get a more ventilated window or increase it to make sure that you're getting fresh air, and also the other air that is stuck in the room can also go out. There are other issues. For instance, it could be there are cracks, yes, in your foundation, because one of the other means in which we don't get it, if there are cracks within, and those can be sealed, yes, to prevent it from accumulating in your room, of course. So not any, these two simple things can be used in a most complicated case that you think of, if the building is already there. But ideally, we pray that before you build, you do the needful.
Okay, thank you. Adolf, your hand.
All right, thank you. So to weigh in on the arguments that came from the chairman's comment, and I think speaking from a public health aspect view, I think one gap which is showing in the data argument and which is also showing in the collection of stakeholders, is the absence of public health stakeholders, very clearly, and the absence was also very evident in the presentations that focused on release of radon, but not on exposure of radon. The two are very different, and the exposure levels are important for the cancer linkage that we are trying to draw. And all we are saying is about the linkage to cancer. And that is the data that is lacking, that we need to include in the data of release that we have, so that we can make that very clear public health argument. I've not heard clearly the very public health argument I was hoping to hear. And as the last but one speaker said, this could be considered a public health emergency. We are talking of it as a hazard, but we have not talked of it as a public health need. We don't have the Ministry of Health here. We don't have the Ghana Service Public Health Unit here. We don't have the WHO country office here. So our stakeholder is not complete. And I agree we need to form that group, but when we do, we should consider these stakeholders, because what we'll end up doing is making an argument for limited public health resources. That has to be rationed. And our public health impact will be compared to the existing public health impact. And so we need to be careful to find people with that expertise to make the argument so that we can have space against other public health impacts. Because at the end of the day, there are other gases in the air. We are not talking about it. We are talking about radon because of its public health impact. So this is more of a public health issue than the other issues we are raising much about. It's important to know where it is common so that we know who is at risk. But the risk should be our major driving force to argue within the national sector to get the attention that we need. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what you said resonates with the chairman. He keeps nodding the head. And so in the future, if we have to prepare the team, obviously we need to include the public health, MOH, and WHO, as you mentioned. Thank you. Maybe two more questions, and then we will. Oh, you have a question? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Ernest Boame. So my question, it's not even a question, it's a concern. The key thing about getting the data is the logistics, and it's going to be has to be funded. So I want to know the take of the GGSA representative and even the GAEC. Can there be a collaboration to get the data? Because GGSA is already getting data about mineral, the geological data of the whole country. And this radon, most of it is linked to radioactive elements. So can there be a collaboration to synchronize the data to know the specific places that this is the level of the radon will be high? And also with what our brother said, that the structures won't be broken, would there be a case that the levels of the radon will necessitate that when the data is acquired?
I mean, broken homes, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. I think you made the mention of collaborating. We already started a lot of collaboration to the extent that we even received a backing letter from UPA, and as well as even the Chamber of Mines. They are in charge of mines. But what happened was that they support us to carry out the radon measurement in mines. But then when we started doing it, they told us that it would be difficult to do because if they started doing it, it became part of their mandated, which involved money. When there's no law which mandated them to do, they will not. So those they were able to do is about, I think, 2. So that's why I have some data. So that is why my colleague, David, was insisting that without the law, it will be difficult because they are not ready to commit resources which nobody has mandated them to do. So I think it will be difficult. If, like Chairman everybody was saying, if GAIC has money, then we can just go there and also do the detector. And detectors are very expensive, and you use it once. So if we're looking at, let's say, 10 mines in all over the country, And you shouldn't use less than 500 detectors, and you can imagine. And I don't think it's possible. So once we are here, and I'm happy that we have under rep from Mineral Commission and then Chamber of Mines, if they can also push it on, and you can start, I'm sure the estate or grader also they will start. So without the resources, it's even difficult to get the data. And mind, most of the data we have is research data. It's most of our research data. So I think it will be very difficult. Without the law, it will be very, very difficult for anybody to commit.
So with the mines, the 179 and the 188 of the 2182 is clear for us to be able to do it. They cannot hide under anything that there is no law. There is provision to do. Yes, once you are to do regular analysis of your mine air, you have to do it. And the regulation 32 of that same LI also mandates the holder of the mine to make financial provision for the efficient and safe running of every mineral property. So they don't have any case.
Before Dr. Dawood comes in, Prof. Inkum wanted to react to the public health issue, so I'll give him the chance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saki. Yeah, we, as part of this collaboration and engagement, we invited the World Health Organization country office in Ghana, Accra, and we are in talk with them. So actually, they were supposed to be here as part of this engagement, because we can't do anything without their input. As indicated by all the presentations, the World Health Organization has a pivotal role to play. In terms of our sector ministries also, the Institute has collaboration and discussions with the Ministry of Health. In fact, there is a representative of the Ministry of Health on our board. Apart from that also, as part of the collaboration, we are also in collaboration with the Ghana Health Service. So that with respect to the public health issues, because definitely, for prolonged exposure at the workplace, it hinders on occupational health and safety. And also, as indicated by my colleague, Prof. Peglo, and other discussants, for public exposure, it also hinders on public health. So all these discussions are being done and with these agencies so that their input will be fed on the way forward. And finally, my other remarks is that since I have the opportunity, we want to call on industry to support us in this data collection. Data collection and research is expensive. Government is doing their best, but we need the input from industry. So this is a call for action. As we call for action for RADON, we're also calling for action from input from industry so that they will fund research. Thank you very much.
I take the very last.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so mine has to do with one of the key factors that we have considered in this forum is having a national baseline. And we all agree that this will emanate from data. We can't have a national baseline without data. So in as much as I agree with what our dear board chair said, yes, for purposes of policy, we can work with the existing data that we have. But I think there is the need for us to extend the radon testing, the research, to cover up the other parts of Ghana that we haven't covered yet. That is, if we indeed want to have a national baseline, we need to cover the whole country. Thank you.
I said the last one. I saw about 6 hands there, but whoever is holding the mic, you have the chance, and that should be it.
Thank you very much. From the presentations, we realize the end product of radon is lung cancer. And the lung cancer is caused by two things, smoking and the radon. So can we fall on the big hospitals to know the lung cancer that we have, those that emanated from smoking, and then the rest as part of our data for the formulation of the policy that will further to get our laws to augment what we want to do at the moment? That's my question. Can we fall on the hospitals to know?
We have the data.
We have the data from the hospitals.
Exactly, yes.
Then the data is already there, because the end product is even serious than, the lung cancer. If we know the lung cancer, those that are not from smoking, then we have the data that we can fall on to push for the formulation
We
of
have
the
the
policy.
data, but Ghana is not considered. We don't smoke. We don't smoke a lot in this country. So obviously it's coming from any other thing apart from the smoking. So that is what I can tell you for free. Anyway, I see many of you, your hands were up. You want to ask questions, but we have to end somewhere. And so we have ended the questions. Now we'll take the chairman's closing remarks, his observation, and what he thinks.
Thank you very much. I think this has been an incredibly lively, very important discussion. And we are grateful to our moderator. We are grateful to our moderator for the time she provided for us. For the idea of this being a public health issue is extremely important. Because after all, that is why we are here. Otherwise, if we had no health issues, who cares? Okay? But for a developing country, a poor country like ours, prevention is key. Because it's cheaper to prevent than to try to cure somebody with lung cancer. So this effort to prevention, to me, should be the key to what we have to do. The idea, Guy can't do this by ourselves. We can't. We don't have the resources. And there's a freeze on hiring, and you can't get additional staff. But if this is a government or a national policy, it's a national health emergency policy, whatever we call it, they should designate leadership of the program. I don't know whether now, if it's public health, should it be Ministry of Health, should it be GAIC or MESTI, or should it be somewhere, mines, and so on. The government will set up the exact approach that we should take. And with that, we can get budget, national budget, to deal with it. And the collaboration with everybody will help. But unless you do that, who is going to pay for it? The job is too big, too important and too big for one specific agency to be burdened with this without an established government program or policy. So I pray that we can put this group together, including health and any other entities that we may not have mentioned here. They should work out a proposal, a document which MESTI can present to Cabinet for the government to look seriously into this. They agree on who is going to do what. On the basis of the discussion amongst you, you can make some proposals to that effect. And then this can take off. If we get some seed money from the government, of course, industry should also contribute. I mean, our colleagues from the building industry, real estate people, the mining sector can contribute towards the national problem. This is not an individual, it's a national issue. And if you are operating here, your workers have to be also healthy, and they are part of the population. So I'm very happy about what happened today. It's gone very well, and the energy is there. The number of people who have wanted to talk is an indication of what this is. So with these few remarks, I thank you, everybody else, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's the chairman's observation. It's been a very interesting, insightful, and So many of you even wanted to ask questions. But I think for all such people, all your questions, you can put it on paper and send it to the RADON team of GAEC. And as he also suggested, by the time we leave here, we should know all the stakeholders, the members, we want to put them together so that we form a team and send that proposal to the government. That's a good call. So we are at vote of thanks, and here I want to invite Ms. Eunice Befi, if you're here, to give us a vote of thanks. Let's clap for her.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Radiation Protection Institute, the National Nuclear Research Institute, and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, I'm deeply honored to extend our warmest gratitude to each of you for joining us today at this important forum on creating radon awareness and the way forward. These discussions we've had and the collaborations we've shared have laid a strong foundation to address this critical public health issue together. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for giving us the gift of life to be here today, and our deepest appreciation goes to our chairperson, Dr. Kweku Enin, for gracing this occasion with his presence. I would also like to thank our distinguished speakers, panelists, and experts who took time out of their busy schedules to be here and sharing with us their invaluable knowledge and insights on radon awareness and its health implications. Your presentations have shed light on the significance of understanding and managing radon risks, and your recommendations have given us a clear path forward. Thank you for sharing your expertise and for being such strong advocates for change. To our esteemed stakeholders, that's the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Ghana Geological Survey Authority, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Minerals Commission, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, and then the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. We deeply appreciate your participation and commitment to this cause. Your engagement and support make it possible for us to reach communities, implement programs, and raise awareness. Today's dialogue highlighted the essential role each of you plays in creating an environment where people can be informed and protected from radon exposure. We are grateful for your continued partnership and dedication. I would also like to recognize the organizing team, whose hard work behind the scenes has made today's forum a success. Your meticulous planning and dedication have allowed us to come together seamlessly for this important conversation. Thank you for your efforts. And finally, thank you to every participant who joined us, asked questions, and shared insights. Your contributions have enriched our understanding and reaffirmed the importance of collective action. This forum was truly interactive, impactful, because of your active engagement. As we leave today, let's carry forward the momentum we have built and continue our efforts to raise awareness about radon. Implement preventive measures, as our chairman said, and safeguard the health of our communities. Together, we can make a lasting difference. Thank you once again for your commitment, your time, and your passion for this cause. We look forward to our continued collaboration on this critical journey. Wishing you all a safe and productive evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next time you'll be added to the panelists. All too soon, we've come to the end of our proceedings. When all is said and done, every press man or woman here should see Raymond. Raymond is standing behind there. If you're a press man from any press house, please see him after here. We will, just after the closing prayer, we'll have some group photograph. This is a debut thing we have done. We want it to remain in all our documents. So we take group photographs. We'll take a couple of photographs, then we'll have a final group photograph. When we finish that, the invited guests and the panelists will remain in this room. I mean, if you were invited, you stay here. If your invitation was through the general pool, then when you are filing out, you'll still be sorted out. I believe you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so having said that, we began with a Christian prayer. I want us to end with the Muslim prayer. And here I want to invite Dr. Dawood to do us the honors. Oh, let's clap for him then.
Please, let's pray. In the name of the gracious and merciful God, the Lord of honor, the Lord of might and majesty, we are most grateful to you for this day, for our lives, for our sustenance, for our health. We pray and commit everybody here into your hands, even as we depart to our various destinations. We are grateful for a successful program. It's been a great success, and we cannot be thankful enough. We pray that whatever we have learned from these deliberations would actualize in our practical lives. Enable us to do so. In the end, we say, وَآخِرُ دَوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الدُّعَاء. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And I will need the cameraman to help us arrange the place for the photographs. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget, we want to create awareness as much as we can about radon gas and then to sustain the education. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.